Greetings and blessings to you and yours. I am your humble servant and host for this evening, Mr. David, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers. I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. Hi, Ray of Man. How are you? I'm hoping that everyone who watches this, I always put it in the comments that, or anyway, the title thingy, that I hope you're doing as well as possible wherever you are under your circumstances. So, and our future is not set in stone. That's okay. We love you anyway, and glad you're here. Barry, I'm gonna fool around for the next few minutes because as folks come in, I'm a little earlier because I was here for the 20, and so I'm ready. I just had my sandwich, and so for those of you who do, here's the 20 mark. And I just got to say, Barry, it's your fault that I'm making this video. So I dedicate it to you, okay? I'm just saying. I could cuss you and bless you. Hey, Deborah, how are you? So you get what I'm talking about. I was going to use the word curse. Nah, it's not what I mean. But, I might do a little cussing. It's all your fault, Barry. No, but I have been thinking about this myself. And some of this information, I hope, is useful to you. And this book I've had for quite a while, okay? And I'm hoping that this will show up. Dancing with the Wheel. It is a Sunder book, okay? There's the cover. And the folks who, in case it's backwards, it's Sun Bear, Waban Wind, and Chrysalis Mulligan put this book together. I've had it, I bet you 20 years, okay? So if you folks are seriously interested in really, really doing this, then this is the book that you need. Barry, Dancing with the Wheel, all right? It is essential that you have it because if you're going to forget something, okay? At least most people do. So this is not necessarily your Bible, but your guide, all right? I'm not getting anything out of this by, promoting these books, but there are things online that you can get, but I will tell you right now, okay? Barry and I have been talking about this, and I just wanted to share with you. I've got stuff within arm's reach, but this is my Mead composition book. Okay, it's got regular size paper in it. You can tear them out if you need to, but most of the time these composition books are so that whatever you write in them, you can keep them and refer to them. It's for your notes kind of thing. So I would greatly suggest that you get one of these. They're like $1 or maybe less, depending on where you buy stuff, dollar store, whatever. But that you get one of these, And in it is where you put all your stuff, your writings, your musings or whatever. But as you go through the steps of the wheel, then it's sort of like a diary of when you went, okay? What happened? Why were you there to go along the wheel? What was your intention? I mean, just stuff. You can say, well, today, the 1st of February, actually, it's the 2nd now, but on the 1st of February of 2022, I was out, to the north end of the wheel. And this is what I was thinking. And these are the questions I was kind of meditating on. And this is, so you have a record. So, in the record, you can share it if you want to. Okay. Hey, Isby, how you doing? But it's more for you to go back over and go, oh yeah, that's right. And this is what, because when you write it down, it's really better committed to memory. But when you write it down, there are times when you go back later on, your memory will go, well, this is what I felt that day. And so your memory might not be accurate as to what you wrote down the day that you went and meditated on the wheel. Okay. So if you try to, now here's the thing, you can just study it and it's interesting and that kind of thing. And you may not have the space to do a medicine wheel. All right. Because it's outside with rocks. All right. But now, so something that has over the years, I got a lot of space and I put some rocks out, that weather and the land and flooding and stuff. So where I had started the wheel is not now appropriate. I can't go any further because it's just a bad spot I picked. So I'm thinking more of doing it up here on the hill where it's nice and it's dry, instead of down in the woods where, it's goopy and wet and has a tendency to floods at times. So, but it is essential that you get one of these, and it for your benefit, for your shaman journey, for the basics and everything. Get one of these. Get two. Okay. You can have. And I've got several of them. All right, and there's all kinds of stuff written in them over the many years. Like right now, this one says 2019. Well, it's 2022, so there's 3 years of stuff already in this one, musings and whatever. So, and I've learned to date when, okay, today's February 1st, it's 2/1/22, and this is what I wrote down. Okay. So there's a reference point to me, like, crap, I wrote this 5 years ago. Really? Wow. And I don't remember that, but I wrote it down. So it's important. All right. Now, let's go with the medicine wheel. Now, there are, how do I put this? It's not necessarily conflicting data, but there are some points where a medicine wheel in the east versus a medicine wheel in the northwest versus Plains Indians, they may all be similar, all have the same purpose, but what is in the north or south or east or west sometimes is different depending on the tribe and the location. So where some of these things I've read, it's all about the East. Well, I know that I was at a powwow in powwow, Native folks from all over the place, sponsored by the college there, Middle Tennessee State University. Nice folks there. Anyway, so they have this thing in this huge arena, right? Cattleman's thingy and all. And anyway, lots of people there. So they're setting up the circle the night of, hey, Miss Pearl, they're setting up the circle on a Friday, getting ready for Saturday and Sunday, right? Or maybe it was Thursday. But anyway, so I'm up in this mezzanine area, set up with my puppets and so forth. And I look back over because up halfway up the bleachers, and I look across there, and these folks are having this big time argument. And I'm like, okay, so what's this about? Now, this is to the wheel and tribes and locations, okay, because they wanted one tribe, so folks enter from the north on in the circle within the ring, right? So which in a lot of ways is like a medicine wheel, okay? So when you see the grand circle, the great circle that's been, you know, prayed and saged and so forth, once it's been blessed, you know, you're not supposed to go into that area, that arena, unless asked. And then uh, a lot of the powwows I've been to, so the one down in Cairo, for example, if you want to dance, it's fine, but you enter in from the east. Okay, so they've got this marked off area that where most tribes that I know of will enter into the circle from the east, right? Whereas these other folks, they come in, but from tradition from the north. So there was this huge argument between the native nations and the director and everything. And I was like, so let the people who enter in from the east come in from the east. And this ain't hard, right? So, but they wanted everybody to come in the same way, and the dancers and folks were like they were going to leave, and I was like, this is so silly. And I mean, for 2 3 hours they argued, and I thought it was going to come to fisticuffs. Now, this is the native nations at this huge intertribal powwow in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and they're arguing about where they're going to enter the circle. So this is, I can't prove it, but I'm just here to tell you it happened. And what I think they basically came down to the thing. Well, if you want to come in from the north, okay, and if you dancers want to come in from the east, okay. You know, we should not make a big deal of this versus forcing one or the other to give up their traditions. And well, we'll just come in from the east. No, we ain't. We're coming in from the north. Well, no, we're not, because most of it doesn't matter, right? So, but in this grand scheme of things with the medicine wheel and certain traditions, it may be the north or it may be the east that one enters the wheel, or where you start the wheel when you start building it. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right. Another thing about the rocks. Now, some of these things are basically small boulders. Okay, you know, hey Teresa, how are you? And so um, these rocks are actually, if you're gonna really do this medicine wheel, each of the rocks needs to be prayed on seriously. So you touch the rock, you put your hand on it, you meditate with it, and you ask it psychically and out loud, do you want to become part of the medicine wheel? And if so, like, where do you want to go? North, south, east, or west? And there's a lot of other stones in between. Okay. So, hang on, I got something here. Now, Barry, you and I were talking earlier, and you sent me a thing and a text. This is a medicine shield. Okay. It's a medicine shield. Now, one can paint or do whatever they want on here, symbols or whatever. Now, the medicine shield is exactly that. It's medicine to shield you from stuff, right? Broken bones, I mean, just whatever it is, right? So, but medicine shields like um, dream catchers. You should not make your own dream catcher. You should ask someone that you trust to make a dream catcher for you. It is the same thing with a medicine shield. Someone that you trust, you know, because making your own medicine shield, as what I was reading earlier, to remind me, is that, and it's sort of like there's an old tradition with pocket knives. You don't buy your own pocket knife. You give somebody else money and go, this is the one I want, right? And they go buy it for you. And you give them the money and do the thing. And then when they give you the um, the pocket knife, even though you paid for it, right? You have to give them a penny when you get the pocket knife. It's an old tradition. I am not know where it comes from, but I've noticed that folks don't do that much anymore. But so in a medicine wheel, if you paint or mark up your own medicine wheel, there's the possibility of your own ego going into the medicine shield. Okay. So, all right. Now, I might use this for a reference, but I don't have the capability to share screen, all that. So, going into this next section, how long we've been at this? I'm going to try to keep this to an hour, hour and a half, to where it's, not a 5 hour thingy. So, but anyway, I'm going to read the chat, but I'm going to try to not talk with y'all unless it's appropriate. If you got a question, ask me, okay? But otherwise, I'm gonna stick with the with instructions, okay? So here's a medicine shield, all right, and there are also medicine shields that you see that will have a that will just be two sticks and a round hoop or something, of vines or something, and that's also considered a medicine shield. Different style, different thing, but it's very similar as for its purpose, okay? And you should ask it for your own purpose. You can make ones for other people, but to make one for yourself. Now you can inspire someone, say, well, I'd like to have for me, I'd like to have a canoe on my shield, and something, the sun and the moon and the stars, and, um, but you have to leave it up to the intuition of the person who is making the shield for you. So they have to depend upon their own spirit guide on your behalf. Okay. So, and it's a big deal. Some people, well, I'll make you one, and they just draw something on it. Now, it might be appropriate, but in the grand scheme of a sure enough shaman, sure enough sacred item, then the person should like smudge themselves at certain places that certain people would fast for hours before they worked on it. They would, certain traditions, or they would smoke a peace pipe, some tobacco, some sage, whatever, right, before they would work on it for you on your behalf, right? So that's the intensity. It's not just a hoop with some stuff on it. If you really are serious about this, there's prayers, and all you're asking is, Spirit, grant that this shield will retain positive energy. Don't get too wordy, you know, that this shield will shield me from attacks, will shield me from evil, and will actually keep me on the path that I wish to be on. So you don't have to go a whole lot further than that, because you put simple intent into it. The rest is up to the universe. So, but anyway, so now, going back to the medicine wheel. Now, when I was incarcerated down in Tampa for a year, and not having been able to go outside, but just to the jail, to the courthouse and back, and all that time, I had to imagine a lot of things, right? And I became quite good with my astral projection back then, because I projected myself back up here to Georgia to the sound of the pig feeders late at night. And I've talked about this before, but the thing is that it's your intent, and how do you believe it? Do you believe that you can send yourself somewhere and have that much intent? The answer is, if you really want to do a good medicine wheel, then the answer is yes. So, moving to the medicine wheel. Now, like I said, y'all get a pencil and paper or something, because some of what I'm going to discuss, you should draw yourself a circle, north, south, east, and west, and keep up with me. There are things about the North, you might want to use a whole page, okay, to take your own notes. And it might be that you one or two notes on this piece of paper. So since I can't share these pictures with you, the best thing to do is for you to be able to write it out yourself. It'll also help you connect to it. So, Barry, you said something about gifted mind. No, not in all tribes, Barry. Women can't make their own. The idea that someone else should make it is because you don't want to put your own ego into it. All right. It keeps ego out of the equation entirely. So the answer is no to you making your own. Okay. Now, I mean, if it's a true medicine shield, then it's by somebody you trust and so forth to make it for you. But anyway, um, yeah, it's 12:42 here, Ray. Thank you. But see, that's my point about this. There are folks who say there are different, oh, the women can make it. No, that's not true. Simply because the act of someone else in doing it, regardless of male or female, is to keep the ego out of it. That's it. That's the answer. Okay. Is one right or wrong? If you want to make your own, that's fine. But then you put your own self into it. And anyway, so that's to be considered. Again, different places, different people, different interpretations. But I like the interpretation of you not making your own, just like the dream catcher. There are those women that I've met. It was like, son, you can't make your own. No one should make their own. Dream catchers are for someone else. Their prayers are put into the dream catcher to help you stop any negatives coming into your dreams at night as a filter, right? And so uh, you should not make your own. And there are people who just, make them to sell and pass them around. That's okay. But a true medicine, a true dream catcher should be made for someone who knows you and they put their intent in it to help you versus you trying to put your intent into it. It's anyway, but all tribes are different. There are some folks that from the Southern Cherokee that believe more of what the Western tribes think. And even though they're call themselves the Southern Cherokee tribe, and there's a small place over there near Jacksonville and all over there in Georgia. But they don't necessarily correspond with all Cherokee traditions. Same thing, there are Baptists, right? There's Southern Baptists, Baptists, and anyway. So keep that in mind, all right? Is one right or wrong? That's why they made yours. There are a lot of stuff you can do for yourself, but there are certain things that need to be made by somebody else. And there are folks who will say, okay, now here's a catch, right? And I'm not putting anything on anybody, but if you're in seriously doing the shaman thing, right? There are people who say, well, I bought this in Cherokee and it was made by an Indian. Doesn't that work? And I'm just saying, all right. It's some of them folks are putting things together. A lot of people I've known put things together. I myself have put things together and sold to other people or given away. So, but this idea though, that if it's a mass produced item and somebody is trying to say, here, I had this is for you, and that's kind of borderline. Actually, it would be a no-no. All right. In the real honest to God, down to nitty gritty, it wouldn't be acceptable. Now, I'm just saying, here are different possibilities and things that you might run across. So, in the true tradition of the medicine wheel, if you're really into this, then each of these rocks need to be chosen. Okay. So there are people who say, well, I got a bunch of rocks over here by the road. There's one over here, and one over here, one down here, and one over here. And let me, how's this thing laid out? And boom, 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 boom. Nah, you need to pray on each rock and ask its permission, see if it's okay, feel of it. And like I had 4 or 5 rocks that I put together and that I had kind of like felt around and said, okay, who wants to be part of the medicine wheel, right? And so I went this one and that one over here and this one, which is quite large, and then this one. Okay. So what I did was I put them together, all right, just side by side, and went, and felt this one, felt that one. And one, I'd feel them with my left hand, and then I'd feel them with my right hand, okay, to judge and allow your spirit connection and listen to the rock, okay? And the rock might say, I don't work with these other rocks. you know there might be it's a good rock, and it agreed to come with you, and you think it's going to fit with these other ones, but then when you actually put them together, it isn't quite what you thought. Okay, so the placement of rocks is one thing, but the rocks themselves, okay, so I've talked with many elders over the years and about the medicine wheel, and there's a place that Southern Cherokee tribe over there in South Georgia, over yonder on the other side of Homerville and Waycross. I can never remember the name of the little town, but anyway, um, they have a gentleman who would come and demonstrate, and he would bring rocks and stuff from a medicine wheel that he built. And so he transports it to different powwows and sets it up. All right. So it's not as big as one would imagine, and so he has chosen these rocks, and he said, I asked him, I said, how it is it difficult to say? And he goes, no, I just know where the rocks go now. He said, I used to like put a little tag on them, and it goes here, 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 and here. He's got a little plot plan, has numbered the rocks, so you know where they go each time, because he picks them up and moves it to a different location. Now I would suggest that just for your own thing, use a page in your little diary book, right? And mark which ones, you know, um, if in case you need to move it around or something or adjust it, um, not necessarily give it a name, although each rock in each area has got its own purpose. Okay, so moving on now. Barry and I've been talking about this, and I remember I put the book down. Let me see where I put it. I just had that dead gum. I'm looking for my card book. Um, I just had it. Y'all hang on a sec. Don't go nowhere. Oh, okay. I covered it up. All right, by accident. Now, so this is my book on medicine cards, right? And in the front of this is some interesting information. And one of the pages and topics is medicine wheels. So I want to read it to you. And then I'm going to get out my big book about dancing with the wheel. All right, the medicine wheel. Now, this is on page 21 in your book, if you have one. Um, and the print in this book is a little too small for me. I got to put on my bifocals, meaning two. So Um, Take notes, okay? The medicine wheel. All space is sacred space. This is like you like do an outline, okay? Number one, or A, all space is sacred space. B, every inch of Mother Earth, A1, or how you want to do it. Each inch of Mother Earth holds a specially energized connection to some living creature and is therefore to be honored. The medicine wheel is a physical expression of this knowledge and can be used to set up sacred ceremonial space. It is constructed by placing 12 large stones. Wait, yeah, in a circle similar to the face of a clock. The four largest stones are placed at the four cardinal directions. Begin by placing the stone in the south, the place of the child where life begins. Now, there are other customs. This statement is not true. Then move to the west, then to the north, and finally to the east. The eastern stone is placed last. I lost my place. The eastern stone is placed last because the space inside the circle is filled by spirit entering through the eastern door. The golden door to illumination is this eastern door, meaning the last stone, four stones. When it is about to be closed, it is time to ask spirit to fill the space so that mutual honoring and love can occur. This is one of the traditional ways to build a medicine wheel. The medicine wheel is used to gather together the energies of all animals or creature beings, the stone people, Mother Earth, Father Sky, Grandfather Sun, Grandmother Moon, the sky world or star nation, the subterraneans, the standing people or trees, or as some might remember, the Ents, the two-leggeds or humans, the sky brothers and sisters, and the thunder beings. These we consider to be all our relations in the native teachings. Ceremony is a method for honoring and recognizing the connections to all life through the expression of gratitude in chants, dances, and rituals. It is always done with the guidance of Great Spirit and the Great Mystery. The medicine wheel is a symbol for the wheel of life, which is forever evolving. This is important. It's forever evolving. So these people are talking about the spirit and the earth and everything. We're always evolving. Every single day is part of our evolution or evolution. And bringing new lessons and truths to the walking of the path of the red road. The earth walk is based upon the understanding that each one of us must stand on every spoke of the great wheel of life, so many times, and that every direction is to be honored. Until you have walked in some other's moccasins, only then and stood in there on their spokes of the wheel will you ever truly know their heart. The medicine wheel teaches us that all lessons are equal, as all talents and abilities. As in the Creator, all of us are equal in the eyes of the Creator. Quite simply, every living creature will one day see and experience each spoke of the wheel and know those truths. The medicine wheel is a pathway to truth and peace and harmony. The circle is never ending, life without end. In experiencing the good red road, one learns the lessons of physical life or of being human. This road runs south to north in the circle of the medicine wheel. After the graduation experiences of death, one enters the blue or the black road. That is the world of the grandfathers and grandmothers. In spirit, one will continue to learn by counseling those remaining on the good red road. The blue road of spirit runs east to west. The medicine wheel is life, afterlife, rebirth, and the honoring of each step along the way. Okay. So here we'll see if this shows up. This is just a small picture, uh, but it is basically, let's see, you can't really see the stones, but there are four large stones at the cardinal points and then smaller stones in between. Okay. So now this is just an overview in a one-page summary. Okay. It is not instructions per se. Hey, Zach. Project, how are you? I'm going to stay on track. Genevieve, how are you, my? Uh, how you doing, Zach? And everybody else, peace to you. Okay. So now, I did not remember that that page about the medicine wheel was in this book. So in talking with Barry, it's all his fault now. Um, I started blaming him earlier. It's all his fault, but it's a good thing. But I've got this much larger, more intense book. I will show this again for those latecomers here. It's called Dancing with the Wheel. It is a Sun Bear book. Does it show? Can you read that or is it backwards to y'all? It's backwards when I look at it. This is by Sun Bear, Van Wind, and Chrysalis Mulligan. Okay. I've had this book, I know, 20 years at least. So, all right. So, this is the back of the book, right? The Native American philosophy behind the vision of the medicine wheel is that all things and all beings on the earth are related and therefore must be in harmony for the earth to be balanced. Dancing with the wheel teaches you how to apply this philosophy to your daily life through many practical exercises and ceremonies. These exercises will help you gain energy from the spirits, which can heal both humans and the earth. Through Dancing with the Wheel, the second book, uh, any, I don't know if this is the second book or the first. Anyway, devoted to the wheel, those familiar with this vision will gain an increased understanding of the wheel. And those new to the medicine wheel will be ushered into the teachings and technique of what has come to be a source of comfort and direction for thousands of people around the world, whether you're in the middle of the wilderness or the middle of the city. This book and its exercises will help you center yourself and establish peace with the earth and other beings. Now, I made reference to being in jail for a year and that. and talking about astral projection and stuff like that. And I did not finish with that train of thought, in that if you can't go outside and put up stones physically, you can. That's why I suggest you get one of those books and keep up with it. Is that for those of you, I will, came in late because you were all partying somewhere else, is just one of these. I'm kidding, but it's a composition book, and get one or two of them. One for notes and comments, and the other for putting things down, like directions and which rock is for what and that kind of thing. So, and write it down, because it. Hey, Susie Q, write it down because it is important. If you go and meditate on something and you come out of it and you go, wow, that was really groovy, and you write it down right then, and then, 3 days later or a week later or a year later, when spirit is asking you to revisit what was that vision or meditation about, you go, well, I think there might have been a hawk in there somewhere, and you really don't know. It's in your memory. So you write it down so you can go back and go, and you can pinpoint it exactly, because sometimes the exactness of a dream now comes in handy later on. And if you're walking with the wheel, dancing with the wheel, whether physically or in your head, this is important. Okay. Now, next off, so get a piece of paper and a pencil, and however, and do your four cardinal points. Make those circles a little bigger than the rest of them. And then basically you fill in at where, 9 o'clock, 10 and 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock is straight up, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, side, 4 or 5, all the way around. So just make smaller circles, and this creates your medicine wheel. Now you can visit this medicine wheel if you can hold on to any kind of rock, not necessarily a crystal, but a rock. Okay. Crystal's okay, to help you connect yourself to the earth. And like in Barry's circumstance, he would have to roll around in his wheelchair. So sometimes when you're in jail or incarcerated or bedridden, or physically unable to do certain things, you can stretch that into the psychic, into the third eye. And I need to make a video about that. Barry, Teresa, remind me. Hey, SB, um, I need to do a video on the third eye and precautions for people. And I'm going to make it really short and sweet here. A certain channel did a thing on opening up the third eye. And one thing that people need to be warned about is be careful what you wish for, because opening your third eye and having that son bitch pop open, well, sorry for the language, but if that some gun pop open, it can drive some people crazy. I mean, literally mad. They don't know how to think, act, whatever. So this opening of the third eye needs to be gradual, not this pop it open kind of thing. That can be very tragic and very detrimental to the person wishing to open up their third eye. Enough of that, but precautions. Do it slowly. Okay, so dancing with the wheel. How am I doing on time? Almost 45 minutes. All right, I need a drink of liquid. It's just a tiny break. Susie's in the house. And to your point, Barry, another book's perspective. But not only that, since the internet has come up, I had this book long before the internet, right? So now I can check things, and that's how I know, and also being present at certain powwows and ceremonies and things myself, then I know there are these differences. So there are folks who will argue the heck with you, right? Well, that's not how it's done, and that's not what's this, and it's like, but that's where they're from. Okay, that's the basic, but it's still a medicine wheel, even though we might dicker or argue or whatever over the placement, meaning, or whatever. The basic thing is there. that it's for harmony, it's for ceremony, it's for honoring the animals and the vegetables and all the beings on this planet. And so, in that essence alone, it's like, y'all are members of the League of Like Minded Beings. You signed up long before you got here. So, but here's the thing. With that said, if you're building a medicine wheel outside with rocks and stuff, you might feel instructed to use a particular rock in a certain place on the wheel, right? So the basic instruction, north, south, east, west, but that the rocks you choose, again, for those of you who might popped in a little later, the idea that you should sit and meditate with the rocks before you place them, okay? Now, let me finish my tiny little break here. So whether you draw your wheel on a piece of poster board and make notes in a book, which you should do anyway, I'm not too much well, I am personally, even though I I talk a good line, I don't write down near as much as I should have. I think it's like ingrained into me, but I ought to write it down because you can't read my brain, you know. But so anyway, and that's the other reason you should write it down, because there are times when you're inspired and later on you can't remember squat about what. Well, I think there was a mermaid on top of this mountain with an eagle flying around it. I'm not sure. Write it down so you can go back and know exactly what. Do it within 24 hours of your dream or meditation, right? There are some times where you can take your little book with you while you're meditating and write it down on the spot while it's happening. Okay. That is even more way better, you know? So, okay. Moving into this, their wheels are much more complex. Much more complex. So, now let's see if I can get this in the picture. Now, y'all pay attention to this. All right. This is important. All right. Now you see the outside circle? There are 12 stones. And then there are one, two, three stones connecting the outer circle to that inner circle. All right. In that inner circle is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So you've got 3 leading into 6. So that's like 3 and 3, right? So, and then you've got the center stone. All right. Now, in a lot of other wheels and so forth, that this is way more complicated than just 4 stones or something in between. I don't see any bots. So, and I'm holding this picture here, and I hope you can see it. All right. And so it's really easy to remember how many stones. But here's the thing. So if you will do this right now, kind of thing, because I'm going to be talking about the different spokes, the inner circle, the inner stone, what the what these four spokes, each of these rocks have a connection, either animal or some mineral or something like that. So that's why I say that in building the wheel, the ultimate is this. Okay, so that was good enough. Right, Barry. So that's my point. And with another group of folks, they might not have all the spokes. They might not have the inner circle. There are differences and there are similarities. Okay, so but the basic one that is the most important is that whether you actually build the spokes, okay, you know that the north, south, east, west, they're connected, right? And that all things are connected. All things are equal in the eyes of the Creator. And all things are, so this is part one of this of this because there are many different sections, okay, and lots of information. So I'm trying to think. This video might be chapter one. All right, in the book, we'll see. There might be a 1A and a 1B. It depends on how long each of the chapters is. Okay, they're not very long. Um, so in the medicine wheel, if you've drawn this out, yeah, much more intricate. Absolutely, Teresa. So that's why I'm saying, we're going to get into this, and but all wheels are the same in because of their general purpose, but there are many differences and nuances. So if you start out with the center stone, that's number one. Okay. Let's see, where's number two? Okay. So you've got the center stone and number one. Number two is this first circle. Okay. Number two, three, four, five, six, around actually it's eight that I see here. So that comes back around. So you start from the eastern spoke just outside of the center stone. And so it's clockwise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Um, so in that, it follows the pattern. And then number 9, the ninth stone, goes to the north. Okay. Now, see, in that other book, it said start in the south and go, okay. This one, number 9, is the northern large stone. Number 10 is the eastern stone. Number 11 is the southern big stone. Number 12 is the western stone. Okay. Now, which is interesting. Where did 13 go? Oh, so it starts out at 9, 90 degrees, 10, 90 degrees, 11, 90 degrees, 12. Then it goes past north to 13, 14, 15, skips over the eastern 16, 17, 18, skips over the southern stone, 19, 20, 21. Okay, skips the western stone, 22, 23, 24, back up to the north. Okay. And then the smaller stones, the spokes of the wheel, are numbered out as well. See, so there is a pattern to it. So, and I haven't gotten to the spoke. They go all the way up to 36 in all the stones. Now, I'm going to read what some of these stones are. All right. The number 1 stone, which is in the center, is Creator. The number 2 stone is Earth Mother. The number 3 stone is Father Son. The number 4 stone, Grandmother Moon. Number 5 is Turtle. Number 6 is Frog. Number 7 is Thunderbird. Number 8 is Butterfly. Now, number 8 brings us all, creates that small inner circle. Okay. Number 9, this starts the outer circle. Okay. So number 9 is Wabus. Number 10 is Waban, which would be the east. Number 11 is the Majiquas. I'm sorry, is the uh, Shanodis. Number 12 is the Majekis. Number 13 is Snow Geese. Number 14 is Otter. Number 15 is Cougar. 16, Red Hawk. 17, Beaver. 18, Deer. 19, Flicker. 20, Sturgeon. 21, Brown Bear. 22, Raven. 23, Snake. 24, Elk. 25, Cleansing. 26, Renewal. 27, Purity. 28, Clarity. 29, Wisdom. 30 is Illumination. 31 is Growth. 32, Trust. 33, Love. 34, Introspection. I'm sorry, 34 is Experience. 35 is Introspection. And 36 is Strength. Now, it says the dance begins. It's chapter 1. I'm trying to figure out how I might be able to get y'all like a copy of this, but I'll go back over it clockwise. Yeah. Crap, just knocked something over. To enjoy dancing the wheel, you must first learn the steps to the dance. Like most earth-based ceremonies and tools, the medicine wheel appears to be simple. After all, it is merely a structure of 36 stones. Yet there are untold levels of meaning to this simple circle and the lines within the circle. Dancing with the wheel is a step-by-step guide to these levels. To understand the medicine wheel dance, you must first know that the medicine wheel of this vision is similar to the 20,000 medicine wheels that existed on this continent before the Europeans arrived. The medicine wheel served many purposes for the native peoples of Americas, not just North America, but Americas, okay, South America too. They were the ceremonial centers of culture, astronomical laboratories, and places people would come to mark the times and changes in their own lives as well as life on earth. That's why you need one of them books, my friends. You can't remember it all. And when you pass on, you would like to pass on that knowledge, right? Write it down. Um, they were places to pray, meditate, contemplate, strengthen your connection with nature, and come to a high degree of understanding of yourself and your relationship with all of creation. All of creation. Even folks we don't like, all of creation. Medicine wheels were usually placed on areas where the energy of the earth could be strongly felt. And their use in ceremony made this energy even stronger. Consequently, medicine wheel areas became what people now call vortexes. Okay? Places of intense earth energy and healing. The new areas where medicine wheels have been built are serving the same function. Okay. So, forms of the medicine wheel exist all around the globe, from the great stone circles of Europe to the mandalas of India. All of these are reminders of our past, when the world was guided by the law of right relationship, and humans respected themselves and all of their relations: mineral, plant, animals, spirit, on Earth Mother. Learning about the medicine wheel can help you remember your connection with all these aspects of the universe. Yeah, you hear me talking about it. It ain't just the planet, it's the universe. Each stone in the medicine wheel is a tool to help you understand your ties with the ancient past that molds both personal and planetary present and future situation. Each position in the medicine wheel will directly affect you at some point in your life. The creator stone or symbol is the center of the medicine wheel, as the creator is the center of all life, always creating without beginning or ending, always moving, always continuing. Look at all the planets, solar system stuff going around, galaxies going around, everything's moving. Always continuing. From this center radiates the energy that form the center circle of the wheel. So you've got the center stone, then you've got the center circle, okay? Uh, from this center radiates the energy that creates all the rest of the wheel. The seven stones that surround the creator form the center circle of the wheel and represent the foundation of all life. Slightly to the south of east is the stone that represents Earth Mother, the being who gives us our home and our lives, continuing in a sunwise, clockwise direction, as we almost always do in building and using the medicine wheel. Okay, so that's important. You build it in a clockwise motion and you use it in a clockwise motion. Okay. Um, the It's a stone honoring Father Son, who warms and quickens life. Next comes the stone Grandmother Moon, who guides our dreams and visions, followed by the Turtle Clan stone, representing the element of earth, the Frog Clan, representing the element of water, the Thunderbird Clan, representing the element of fire, and the Butterfly Clan, representing the element of air. These seven stones teach about the basic building blocks of all life. The anchor stones for the outer circle of the medicine wheel are the four stones honoring the spirit keepers. Okay. So it's 9, 10, 11, 12 to the west. Let's see. Honoring the spirit keepers. Wabus in the north, Waban in the east, Shanduis in the south, and Mudjikis in the west. These spirit keeper stones divide the circle into quadrants that set their boundaries for the 12 moon year. From then, we learn more about each season, each time of day and time of life, and each mineral, plant, animal, elemental clan, spirit keeper, and human associated with that moon. Completing the medicine wheel are four spirit paths: each consisting of 3 stones. These paths go from the spirit keeper stones to the center of the circle. They represent qualities that take us from daily life into the sacred space of the Creator. That simple physical description of the medicine wheel provides you with the first basic steps for dancing with the wheel. But to really understand the wheel, your comprehension must surpass the physical and intellectual. You can never dance well if you're always thinking about where to place your feet. I got to read this over again. This is really important. But to really understand the wheel, your comprehension of just stuff must surpass the physical and the intellectual. You got to transcend into the spiritual. You can never dance well if you're always thinking about where to place your feet. To dance, you need to listen to the music and allow that music to be a part of your body and your being. What are you listening to? The earth song. I've talked about this before, not often, but you got to be quiet to hear it. You know, once I was at a powwow and talking with some folks, and it was like, if you listen, the drum is the heartbeat of Mother Earth. And so once you understand it and like really get it, you could somewhere someone is drumming, and you can hear it. There are times when it's almost audible that some I would go, oh my God, somebody's drumming somewhere, like a good drum, a big drum, not just drum, but but that too. So that simple physical reaction of description of the medicine wheel provides you with the first basic steps for dancing with the wheel. To dance, you need to listen to the music, the earth music, and allow that music to be a part of your body and your being. That takes time and practice. When you're ready to begin, use the following simple technique, the first of many that will help you dance with the wheel. Throughout the book, these techniques are called visualizations or an exercise. These provide ways for you to mentally see, feel, and imagine yourself and your life as something different from what it is now. All visualizations and exercises, if treated with respect, can be done as ceremonies that are ways for you to connect your energy with the energy of the universe and to thank the universe and all of its parts for the gift of life. Now, what you need, it says you need, this is a thing, a quiet space, and if desired, a notebook and pen. Not if desired, get one. And I would suggest a pencil that you can erase because you might want to, make a change. A pen or a tape recorder. Well, I don't know about a tape recorder, but at least um, estimated time 10 minutes at first, 5 minutes when you have done this visualization a few times. Okay. So there's 11 little steps. I'm going to, sit comfortably in a chair on the floor or lie down. Take a few really deep breaths, allowing your breath to go through as much of your body as you can. My suggestion is breathe in to the count of 4. Hold it for the count of 3 or 4 or 5, depending. 3 or 4 is enough. And you exhale to the count of 6, which means you really got to push out that bad air. And you really need to take control. Hey, Ed. So close your eyes, relax your jaw and your stomach. Be aware that the earth is beneath you Even if you're on the 50th floor of a skyscraper, okay, I've talked about this before too, about the old um, Indian chief that had been operated on. And after his operation, he was out in his bare feet, dancing around with his butt cheeks hanging out. And the nurse is coming in and he's doing his dance. And she goes, "What are you doing?" And he's like, he looked at her and he said, "Well, I'm giving thanks to Mother Earth." She goes, "You're on the 5th floor of the hospital." He goes, "Doesn't matter. This concrete and steel is connected to Mother Earth, therefore my dance counts." Be aware that the earth is beneath you wherever you're at, right? Oh, feel your energy connecting with the energy of the earth. When you're relaxed and feel connected, just listen. Do you hear something? Faintly at first, then louder, you will hear a beat that sounds like a drum. What is it? Listen closer. Tum, 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 tum. The drum beat you hear is the beat of your own heart. Listen longer. Tum, 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 tum goes a slower drum beat. You feel your heart slow to a beat with this new music, and you feel yourself deeply relaxed, deeply connected to the source of the music, the Earth Mother. There are times when it's like really loud. I can hear a doom, 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 doom. I can hear the drum. And then there are times like it's really faint. Right at this moment, I can hear it, but it's really faint. Enjoy the music, enjoy the few moments in a sacred place. Now, basically, you got to try to get as quiet as possible. You don't have to do this long, but it's a nice meditation. Take a moment to feel any differences in your body, to sense changes in your perception. Because when you can learn to hear that beat, you're almost like a Schumann resonance. If you wish, write down or record your reactions. You should. Okay. So here is are y'all getting this? Let me take it's an hour and 12 minutes into this. Okay. So I'm trying to see how long this will take, and you know, does does it make sense? Am I going fast enough, slow enough? Time to speak up, because if I continue, I want to make sure that my pace is good or something like that. So, but anyway, yeah, it will vibrate too. Yeah. For example, here's a 2-page. Um, if you can afford it, I would assume that they still have these in print. Uh, let's see. Well, and the print's small, but there's 2 pages of this and different columns and rows. Okay, so but in this, if I could, I would copy this and put in. I could send you PDF file or something. But anyway, I'll work on that. But the number one stone is the creator stone. Now, in these, there are elements, minerals, and plants associated with these stones. Okay. So, creator, the element is all in any of them. Same thing with mineral and plant. Number two stone is the earth mother. The element is earth. The mineral is clay. And the plant is corns, beans, or squash. Okay. Like if you were going to make an offering, you would take a little bit of corn or cornmeal or something. Okay. Number three is Father Sun, and it's fire and air. The mineral is a geode, and the plant is the sunflower. Okay. Number 4 stone is the grandmother moon. The element is water. The mineral is moonstone. And the plant is mugwort. Number 5 is the turtle clan. The element is earth. Petrified wood is the mineral. And cattails are the plant. Number 6 is the frog clan, which is the water. The mineral is river rock, and the plant is algae. Number 7 is the Thunderbird clan, which is fire. The mineral is lava rock, and the plant is fireweed. Number 8 is the butterfly clan, and it represents the element of air. The mineral is azurite, and the plant is butterfly weed. So, oh, I'm sorry, there's still more. The animal, I'm sorry. So the animal for Earth is tortoise. The color would be forest green. Father Sun, fire, air, geode, sunflower, lizard, which we talked about earlier, and sky blue. Grandmother moon is water, moonstone, mugwort. The animal would be the loon, and the color would be silver white. So turtle clan earth, petrified wood, cattails, animal obviously turtle, and the color would be green and brown. Frog clan, water, river rock, algae, animal, frog, and the color is blue green. Number 7 is the Thunderbird clan, which is fire, the mineral lava rock, the plant is fireweed, the animal is obviously Thunderbird, and the color red. Number 8 is the Butterfly clan, which is air, azurite for the mineral, butterfly weed is the plant, obviously the animal is butterfly, and the color is translucent with blue. Okay. Now there's lots of other stuff here. All right. I'm not going to go through them all at the moment because when we get further down into the book, it'll ask for certain things. This is a chart you can go back to and go, oh, that's what it is. Okay. So when we get there, we'll go back to these. And since we're going to start with the center stone and the center circle, I'm going to keep this to that right there, which is 8 different rocks. Hearing the earth song can give you a whole new understanding of the medicine wheel, because when you become aware of this music, you begin to understand the law of relationship. Each of us is deeply connected to everything that exists. Each of us is a critical part of the sacred medicine wheel of life. Absolutely. The law of relationship is a natural law, a real law that is absolutely critical to these times when we have lost our sense of balance, our sense of connectedness with all that is life. The medicine wheel can help you regain some of what you've lost. The medicine wheel will help you understand your real relationship with all of the beings on the earth, the elements, the plants, the animals, the humans, the spirits. These beings can teach you about many other layers of the wheel. In the medicine wheel book, we introduce you to the mineral, plant, and animal totems for the 12 stones representing the times of the year. In Dancing with the Wheel, we'll introduce you to the totems for all the positions of the wheel and tell you which totem has to teach you about life and relationship. As you learn the steps of this dance and hear the music more clearly, you may desire ways to honor your new relationship with life. Through respect, this is important. For the respect for the correct use of the ceremony, you will find them. Ceremony that brings you into a deeper relationship with the earth is an important part of the medicine wheel. Now, notice it says ceremony. Has nothing to do with worship or nothing like that. There ain't none of this worship stuff in this book. So a ritual or a ceremony is to honor the universe. Not That's it. Simple. So, all right, so important. Through respect for the correct use of the ceremony, you will find them. Ceremony that brings you into a deeper relationship with the earth is an important part of the medicine wheel. So, are exercises and visualizations to help you gain a personal understanding of all the elements on the wheel. You will find such exercises throughout this book, and we'll discuss them when we get there. So, there's going to be several parts to this. But don't try, here's the thing, as I build upon this and we discuss it, you need to meditate on some of these things that we're talking about now for the simple reason that you really understand it, not for me or anything else, so you will understand its meaning. Okay. After you've learned about ceremony and the different individual aspects of the wheel, it is likely some of you will want to build a wheel so you can experience its energy. In this book, we gave basic instructions for building a wheel. We will, and, and wheels are to experience specific mineral energies, to honor trees, to all the element of honor the element of fire, and one you can use when traveling. When you've explored these aspects of the medicine wheel, you will be ready to experience how the wheel can teach you about your own life. Although you have a basic position upon the wheel determined by your time of birth, you do not remain in that one position for your entire life. Everyone travels around the medicine wheel, experiencing life from as many of the positions as possible. This means it is likely that at various times you will act, think, and feel like a person born under one or all of the other 11 moon positions. Being able to discern your movement upon the wheel, to know which positions are influencing you, is sort of like a an earthbound uh, astrology chart. Okay. Um, this means that it is likely that at various times you will act, think, and feel like a person born under one or all of the other 11 moon signs positions. Being able to discern your movement, to know which positions on the wheel are influencing you at that time, uh, will help you to understand yourself. Experiencing other positions of the medicine wheel is not strictly a matter of chance. Okay. It is possible for you to move purposely to another position when you need to understand the life lesson that that position represents. Throughout the book, we encourage you to seek a certain stone if you are striving to balance yourself in a particular way. This is because each stone represents many layers of life. Being near a particular medicine wheel stone, either physically or in imagination, I was talking about this earlier, being able to picture it in your mind, can help bring balance to different aspects of your being. In your movement around the wheel, you are likely to experience times when the element of change affects you more than anything else. When the element of change affects you more than anything else. We're going through a big time change right now. All of us are in our own way, right? So, but um, doesn't it affect us all, in our own ways? But um, these are the times when you are under the influence of the 13th moon. These are time. These are times when you're under the influence of the 13th moon, the invisible moon missing from our calendars oriented world. Understanding the 13th moon and how it influences your life will shift your worldview, adding a new dimension toward your feelings about life and vastly increasing your self understanding. When you understand the physical and ceremonial aspects of the medicine wheel and how this simple circle affects your life, you will be almost ready to do some very powerful dancing. Before you begin, you might wish to create some new tools to help you in your dance, like pouches or jewelry, uh, rattles, wands, staffs, shields, and masks. The ceremonies of creating these are another level of the wheel. With your new tools, you are ready to dive from the springboard of the medicine wheel into the water of healing, both of yourself and of the earth. From healing ceremonies connected with the medicine wheel, you understand even more of the sacred circle of life and the power of the wheel. When we help people prepare to go to the earth to cry for their vision, we always remind them that the vision is not just for themselves. A true vision is one that will benefit all of your relations on Earth Mother, not just humans, but all the beings in all the kingdoms. Now, see, there's a lot of people that really don't understand what that statement means. All beings, everything seen, unseen, earthworms, the dirt. I mean, just the virus, we gotta, all things, all of our relations. And that's hard for folks to like really get their head around. When you have experienced enough of the medicine wheel to truly understand your power for healing, you're ready to go to the second section of density. Uh, Later on, they teach you about the different kingdoms with which we share the earth. The different kingdoms with which we share the earth. Because many of us live in environments where we spend most of our time with people, we need to familiarize ourselves with the representatives of the mineral, plant, animal, and color beings honored as part of the medicine wheel. From knowledge about these beings and how they connect with the wheel, you will learn how to gain respect for all of our relations on the earth and learn both how to heal and be healed by these other children of the earth. The mineral wheel, the plant wheel, the animal wheel, and the color wheel are all critical layers of the medicine wheel. By looking at each one separately, you will gain a naturalist appreciation and a healing understanding of your relations in each of these kingdoms. Okay, to make dancing healing energies of the wheel readily accessible during times of distress, it will conclude with quick reference charts for the mineral, plant, and animal, and the color wheels. Uh, a listing of different states of human behavior. I'm sorry, human imbalance, which could be human behavior, and the proper place on the wheel to go to seek balance. All right. So that's chapter one. All right, my dear friends, in an hour and 30 minutes. How about that? Hey, Niall, how are you? Okay, so I'm going to look in here and see if there's any questions, but I'm going to leave it at this in an hour and 30 minutes and chapter one. And that, so part one, two, three, four will be each of the chapters, okay? So, but reflect on what I've discussed, and I'm going to show for those folks who came in a little later. I'm going to show this picture again of what the wheel looks like. Um, so y'all look at the screen good, okay? How do y'all? Let me make sure I can. So you can see the center stone, which is creator. You can see the 8 stones around it. You can see the 4 big stones on the 4 cardinal points. You can see the 3 stones in between, and you can see the spokes. All right, 36 stones in all. Now, uh, I discussed what the numbers were and where they started from. And so, but first you got to draw that out and get used to what that is. But if you go back to where I was talking about the position and the numbering around the wheel and it's clockwise, you'll get it all. But here's the thing. So you could go outside and get some pebbles. You could draw it on a piece of paper to get the visualization. Because when you actually build a wheel and go to those locations, you need to be able to have the feeling of your position on the wheel from visualizing it in your head to begin with as you learn to dance, right? So if you can't visualize it, it's going to be really hard when you get out there. You're going to be like 2 left feet, right? So hey, Green Houdini, how are you? I'm talking about buying this book, Teresa. So but discussion of the each of these chapters and how we go about them. Now, if you can buy the book, you know, would still be nice for us to go through the chapters, even with yourself, because of conversation and things we can have about the different animals and minerals and things like that that may not be clear to you. Okay, where I can kind of fill in the blanks, but read the dang book on your own. 1989 crap. Oh, I'm sorry. I only paid $15 for this. A fireside book published by Simon and Schuster, New York. See, now Sun Bear was a sacred teacher of the Chippewa. Uh, the Bear tribe, which welcomes natives and non-natives, is located just outside Spokane, Washington. Uh, so they're up there in the Northeast, right? I'm sorry, Northwest. And oh, as a study guide, you got to remember, you got to be, if you're drawn to a certain part of the wheel, you need to go back through and make sure you got, because there's, let me go to this chart, for example. Yeah, medicine wheel charts. You know, so for example, the stone number 13, 14, and 15, which is in the north, is December 22nd through January 19th. January 20th through February 18th. So these stones also, their numerical value also has a value for like what day it is. Where are you? So if you're between February 19th and March, yeah, to March 20th, then you got basically 30 days in there, roughly. That so if it's that time of the year, then you could use the north and the stone number would be 16. You'd want to know where that position is. There's a new version. Hey, Steve. Yeah, it says there's a newer version after this one, but 20 bucks is cheap, is easier than 75. Oh, that's in Canada. But so, for example, right now we're in the area of January the 20th through February the 18th. So the name of the moon is called Rest and Cleansing. The mineral is silver. The plant is quaking aspen. Uh, the animal is otter. The color is silver. The spirit keeper is waboose. The complement is sturgeon. And the element clan is butterfly. So to stay on task and make sure you got it right, if nothing else, you need these charts. You can find information out on the various minerals and so forth, but where where the number is. So if you want to meditate on the position of the wheel for if for certain dates, then you would go there and take those things, quote, for your ceremony. Rest and cleansing is the name of the moon, the mineral of silver. So, you could take a silver dime and use it as part of the ceremony to represent. Uh, the animal is otter. You could have a picture of an otter, literally on just a piece of paper, cut it out of a book or something, right? And so there are certain things like that. If you don't have anything physical to be able to represent the critter, for you yourself and the ceremony, a picture of the otter, just oh, there's one smiling at me and all that groovy stuff, right? And so that just helps with your connection. It's oh my God, Farrah Fawcett here. Damn, Steve. Uh, I forget where you're at. It's saying February 23rd. Oh, okay. It's between y'all, so I don't know. But anyway, so with this particular book, but with the understanding that knowing you're going to need 36 rocks, you're going to need 4 larger stones, you're going to need a rock that represents the center, you're going to need 8 stones around it that represent these different things, like I mentioned. So you can start there and choosing the rocks that you want, right? Now, for example, the center stone, all right, which is the creator. Now, if you're just drawing this out on a piece of paper, you could pick a rock and put a rock on that spot on the medicine wheel. You might not have all of the other um, spots covered with rocks if you're putting it on building it on a piece of poster board or something. But by having a rock that represents the creator in the center of your drawn wheel, then it will represent and will help your brain and everything to associate where on the wheel you wish to, meditate. So it's sort of like doing an astrology chart, okay, by using the different positions of the wheel. So your meditation at that point, at that spot, with that energy, with the flower, the plant, the mineral, and everything working on your side. So it's like you're using the universe and astrology through the medicine wheel to connect you. And so it's like astrology 101 as far as this would be concerned. That's my, you know, interpretation of how it could be used in connection or conjunction with, those folks who do chart readings and so forth. But just sticking with, if you follow these patterns, which have been used for a long time, different plants, different times of the year, different stones. And so, for during the period of time that it represents, which is about a month ish in each one of these moons, um, there's lessons. There's the new moon, then there's full moon, and there's the waning moon. Hey, Teresa, this is the first edition from Right, this one, yeah. First edition. I've had it for a long time. And it even says in here, I was reading that there's a version 2, so it might be twice as big or whatever. But I'm gonna tell you, in my references over the years of reading this book and wanting to set one up, I've got all kinds of rocks out here in my front yard, right? That I've chosen over the years that at some point I hope to be able to. I need to find a place where I ain't going to run over them with a lawnmower, which is somebody else's. It ain't going to flood and get nasty and the water wash my rocks away. So I would have had one. I've got a basic one down in the woods, but it's more in my head. Oh yeah, you all are going to get hit really bad, and we're going to be basking down here. I've heard of many tales of ingesting many different herbs and such, and maybe under certain astrolog. Yeah, well, see, and this is kind of sort of proof to it. And what you could do is, if it's like an alder tree or something like that. I mean, what are you going to do with that? And can you find anything that represents it, or ash, or a palmetto? For those of us down here that have palmetto bushes, I'm not saying that's what's needed, but you all up north ain't gonna get them. you know Yeah, you guys in the midsection, you all fixing to get hit with a bad storm. Yep. And the high that's just off the coast of Georgia and Florida is going to keep y'all flooded with lots of moisture and going to keep us in balmy 68-degree, 72-degree weather for the next couple of days. So, but yeah, so I hadn't thought of this before as being like a truly astrological kind of thing with the different moons. I mean, I understand different moons, different times of the year, but not necessarily connected astrologically, like whatever. But anyway, so many interesting things. And if you stick with just four basic stones on the outside, and maybe the 12 stones around, and the different wheels that have been presented, um, love you, Teresa. Yeah. Thanks for hanging out. It's good to hear and see you again. And keep up the good work, everybody. And I am going to keep this under 2 hours because I want people to be able to see this and go, wow, that's like chapter one. Oh, okay. Versus, oh my God, it's been 8 hours and, I don't know where he is at his dead gum book, right? So, going to keep it simple and leave it there. Um, I'll try to come up with a better way to try to share the information or something, but at the moment, I don't have it. So, but if you listen carefully to what I said, I gave positions for everything that would be useful for a really good start. Okay. The center stone, the eight around it, and then the four cardinal stones. That's a really good start. And just collecting the stones. Uh, Also, in medicine searches, the wheel will be a good place to place intent. That would be true. What it is, by setting up the wheel, you're setting up an energy vortex. Okay, so it amplifies your intent. And let me tell you, if you cross it, the universe will whoop your butt. Okay, seriously. You can, well, now if you don't, if you have, if your intent isn't pure, ooh, it can backfire. So, uh, because there are people who want to attain power, they want to amplify their intentions. But if their intentions aren't pure, the universe can squash you like a bug. I mean, it's not my warning, but I'm warning you that, for folks that might think otherwise, and oh, I'll use this and it's a way to gain power or whatever. Nyeh. And thank you, Teresa, for hanging out with us. Honestly, I tried to do stuff earlier, but there are other people on. I was on earlier with, with that crazy man. My- oh my God, I can't. Yeah, Milky Way Soul Drive. Oh my God, Robert V. It will not be good to place negative intentions. Absolutely, it will backfire on you. But you could go into it with the intentions of getting rid of negative intentions. If there's something out there in the universe or whatever, somebody's picking on you, and I don't mean that, I mean, like I got picked on with folks, doing witchcraft spells against me. Hey, Julianne. So, um, and at this point, I'm going to try to keep it to 2 hours, y'all. At this point, though, I discussed it over an hour ago about that. I made a little blurb about opening up the third eye. That a channel recently was discussing opening up your third eye. Not everybody is ready for it. That's number one. Not everybody, if they opened up their third eye, would not know what to do with it. I mean, there's so, and be careful what you wish for, because open up third eye means you're gonna see a bunch of stuff, and people are, oh, I'm gonna open up a third eye. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna meditate. And yeah, and to some people, it's gonna freak them right the mess out. So please be careful. Yes, practice it, do it, but do it slow. That's my warning. And there are some folks who are like hell bent for election, that they're going to open up their third eye, their energy, and all that. Okay, learn how to walk first. Learn how to crawl first for some of these folks. And they just think that it's just going to come right to them, and it's going to be, eh, be careful. Okay, just saying. So, but now dancing with the wheel will help to open up the third eye in a gradual level of dancing with the energy with the earth to connect you. So, in that, you're going to, how do I put this? By using the wheel in these natural meditations and positions on the wheel, and however and if you put it on the dirt, you're going to line it up astronomically correct, north, south, east, and west. Get a compass, right? So it will be aligned with the stars, or at least magnetically in positions and so forth. So you're aligning yourself, the wheel, the rocks, the minerals, and everything to the earth. So wherever you set up this wheel, it's going to be locked in that position. You're going to create an energy vortex. So if somebody's been picking on you, sending you negative stuff, you just go inside the medicine wheel to the point which you would get the most benefit from it. And you don't curse them or nothing. You just say, you know, Creator, I wish help to shield myself from negative energies. It's as simple as that. Well, all of you ain't got to go into detail, because spirit already knows before you walk into that circle what you want. Okay. If you're starting to connect and use your third eye and open up your spirit side and your spirit being, then you're connected. The universe already knows you're coming to the circle. It already knows, You know, do you really know? And I'm not being nasty, but honestly, do you really know that as you have the thought of the thought, the circles are already going to be aware of you. So when you place the stones, when you say prayers with each stone that you place, you will be connecting your energy to each one of these rocks, which you have chosen for the position and the purpose, right? You state it to the rock. I, I mean it. You got to talk to the rocks. And you can't be putting words in their mouth neither. Okay. Like I really wanted this one stone to go in this one position. And it was like, I'll go with you, but I don't know about that spot. And what I was saying earlier, an hour ago, is that get the stones from the different positions, put them together, and find out if they like each other, if their frequencies are off. If you put them together and you put your hands around them or whatever, and it's just like, I don't know, something's off. And you don't think about it, you just react to it, right? Opening up your third eye, opening up your spirit being, opening up yourself to the universe. And you reach down and you pick up one of the stones and you put it off to the side and you pick one that is like your second batch of stones that have agreed to come, right? And you pick one of those up and you just pick one up and you put it over there in that position and you look at yourself and you go, ooh, I think that's it. So it's tweaking the harmonies, it's tweaking the frequencies, but people will just go out and just, well, I got 8 rocks. Where do I put them? One here, one here, one here, one here. Yeah, you can do that. But if you honestly set the stones with the intent for that position on the wheel. So this is stone number 9. It is the northern star. It's the northern stone. It represents this. And at placing the stone, you're basically, and your color is, um, don't quote, I'm not looking at the book, but your color is purple, and, and weed is the plant, and the mineral is, but anyway, is, I'm being silly now. But so to place the rocks is one thing, to put the stones down ceremoniously, having gone through the selection and the this and the that, and the prayers when you pick up the rocks and you're intent with them because you want all of these things to work with you. Now, other people could use your wheel. It's open if they understand and they want to teach, and that's one of the things that comes with it. Oh, 7 minutes. Oh, okay. Soon I'll be able to be in serenity to focus and get back. Me too, Greenie Houdini. There's a lot of us that have had like bouncy brains, I guess. But so anyway, for example, in one of the things about making a sweat lodge that I learned is that you go and ask the trees before you cut them. You say a prayer with the tree before you cut it, or bush or whatever you're using, sapling. They just didn't arbitrarily go through the woods and cut a bunch of them up. No, if you were going to do something that involves ceremony, then you really choose everything with a ceremony. And so that makes the energy and everything when the wheel is completed to like really kick ass. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, folks, there are different levels. It's okie dokie if you just I randomly pick some rocks. That randomly picking them could be the right thing, actually. Looking at them and go, oh, I like this one over here. That works. But if you're really in the shaman mode, then you will go to these other steps. Okay. Is it necessary? It depends on your the severity of your intent. Okay. Do you have to pray on each one of them when you set them down? If you don't want to, no. Would it be as effective? My personal thing is it'll work, but I want I want the best mileage out of my car. You know what I mean? Alex, how are you? Yeah, I'm going to keep this at 2 hours, and this is the end of the discussion and kind of sort of the wrap up. But everything I'm telling you about this is very important if you're really, really interested. And the commit with the rocks on the ground and the creating the vortex. But you can use paper and pebbles and use your brain. So, but where you manifest the vortex, it just kind of is created with your intent. It doesn't last with Mother Earth. It's temporary. I would get a poster board and have a position for my stone. If I had a medicine wheel in the house, for example, I'd put it on a table that stayed there and I orient it to north and south, right? And so you could have a small representation of it in the house, but you might want to just, I don't know about gluing them to the board, but so they don't fall off. Okay, that could be done. Use simple Elmer or something. I wouldn't use epoxy or nothing. Maybe use something like candle wax to set the stones in, something natural. If you got a board that's big enough that you could mount them on, so and you could place it in your house in a position that you wouldn't be knocking it over all the time. But even if you had to pick it up and reposition it, that could still work. You see. But the vortex then would have a physical place over a spot on Mother Earth. So if it's a table in the back bedroom or something and nobody goes in there much, and but you leave it there, it's positioned north and south. So you can't make one in the yard. You're in an apartment. You can't do it in the neighborhood, but you can do it in somewhere and where you can leave it most of the time, if not and your connection to Mother Earth. Okay. So, can you do it without having to build it outside? Yeah. And your intent and your anchoring and the choosing of these different rocks and where you place it in your house, think about feng shui. And sometimes feng shui ain't got nothing to do with it. It's the only place you can, in terms like that. I've got an unstable connection. What? Celtic and American Indians are, yep, I've been listening to the last 20 minutes, except everything has said nothing that will change my life because it has many similarities to most pagan belief systems. Yeah, see, and this ain't really, this is just honoring Mother Earth, and honoring the universe. You know, the ritual is with yourself and your connection. But by setting up the wheel in a common location where if you got to move it, it's in the house or something, and you've made this okey doke. But if you put something outside, don't be putting poison around the rocks or stones to keep the grass from around them. My thing is I have to use a weed eater to go around the rocks so it doesn't grow up and you can't even see where the stones are. So that's how things are, and sometimes. But anyway, and you want to walk around. Like for me, I got 18 acres, so I'm looking for a place out back that just isn't going to be attracted up on the hill or nothing, blah blah blah. And I found that maybe not in the backyard, even though there is a nice spot back there, it is, with the water coming up and down, and it's flooded most of the time this last year, couldn't get there. The bushes have grown up. It's just been a pain, right? So it may be time to really honestly reconsider the location, even though it feels like a good spot. It may not, you may not be able to as much as I would like it to be there, it just ain't gonna go there now. So you have to be able to consider, well, I really think it should go over there, but practicality might say you can't do that. So what's my second choice? Always be flexible. Hey, Steve. Yep, it is. Some people never grow spiritually. Well, here's the thing. There isn't anything really special you need to do. So you honor the soul. You enter it with good intent. You might smudge yourself and little tobacco, and so you go to that stone, that place in the wheel, and you sit and just meditate. You might be wanting to ask a question or something to the universe, okie doke. But as far as like being something special that you got to do, you ain't got to slaughter no animals or no plants died in the, well, maybe. But so you just give honor, and in this circle of energy that every time you go in, you create it with good intent, with, the smudging and the small offerings that you bring, like cornmeal or something like that. Um, I didn't have cornmeal, but I had cornstarch. And I'm like, it'll work in a pinch. Um, you're too tired to roll one. Just stick your nose in the container and snip of it. So, well, that was a good one. It still is. Woo! Tangy. Tangy. So in the universe, our position on the wheel, which is connected, north, south, east, and west, um, the energy that you put into the rocks, stones, as you place them. So I'm placing this stone, number 23. This stone represents blah, 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 blah. And with that, I send love and honor and thank you for your service with the rest of this wheel. You just keep it simple, but you tell it, thank you to the universe. I'm placing this stone in this position. Is the stone for whatever, this moon, this represents, and, and just close your eyes to the universe and say thank you to the stone and thank you to the universe. And, nothing really big or outlandish, but by being that honorable, the wheel and the universe will hear it. You know, if you just go in there and just, well, I want this to be the such and such, and no, let it come very simply from your mouth without any kind of preconceived, you're gonna like read the same damn thing for every rock. No, it's an ad lib thing, but you're gonna recognize all the things associated with that stone and its position. Okay. So light a little sage, have you some tobacco, and sprinkle a little tobacco on the stone, and maybe if you've got some fresh creek water or something, and you might have a candle lit to represent fire or whatever the element for that one is. See, and the time of year. So it isn't complicated, but by doing these simple things like with cornmeal, or um, um, having a candle for the representation of fire. If you can't get lava rock like me, but you can get lava rock from some of those um, gas cookers thingies. They have lava rock on the bottom. Anyway, but so certain things we might not be able to get, but we can represent them with something, right? Get some Swiss cheese for the lava rock. I'm kidding, all the holes. Uh, but you might find something that is porous, or you never know, a lava rock might like just come to you like out of the sky. Thank God. Put your helmet on. So what we do with the wheel is up to us. Is the wheel going to teach us anything specific or specific, as the case may be? You're going to be surprised, right? Because it's at the time, the place, and the lesson. So you today the lesson might be this, and we might talk the same subject in 2 days, but the mood will be different. So we talk about the same subject, but it won't be the same energy simply because it's a different day. So for folks to go use the wheel like, well, I should get the same thing every time. Because the basic thing about the wheel is that it's always changing, it's always turning, it's always in motion. It's never ending. It's always moving, you see. So I'm going to meditate over here to the east. I'm looking for something to okie dokie. But what you felt the other day and what you feel today ain't the same because it's different days. There's different energies coming from the universe. That's why you need to write it down because you go to the same spot, different day, same place, same little, little ceremony, there's a little sage and candle lit, really easy. And what you feel is just so outlandish, not bad, but outlandishly different than what you felt a couple of days ago. That's the lessons. That's the journey. That's the going, holy crap, you know. But that's the exchange of energy. I mean, think about if everybody else is using their medicine wheel on the same day, per chance, right? And versus someday, whatever, and like ain't nobody listening, and then all of a sudden you go through the wheel, simple ceremonies, and that, oh, holy crap, it feels like nah, 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 the giant pulsing from the universe, which it is, but you can really feel it. And it could be that there are other folks within their medicine wheels and betwixt us have literally changed the human resonance. So, but anyway, to wrap up this session, the biggest lessons to learn from this are how important each of the stones are, their position and their meaning. Okie doke. But also, and what is your intent in setting one up? Is it like to help heal the earth? That should be like a really big part of your, wanting to do this. Why? Because if you're just setting up the wheel just to learn for yourself, no offense, but that's flipping selfish and egotistical. Now, of course, we want to use the wisdom of the wheel, but if we're using the wheel to gain the wisdom for knowledge and power and control or something, let's see, wrong intent. Uh, I don't think most of you would be like that. But sometimes that energy and that intent is hidden in really subtle ways. Maybe you're trying to sell Girl Scout cookies for your granddaughter or daughter or something, and you go meditate for ways to sell more cookies. There was an article about that, and I just was shocked at how much of the quote CEOs and all of the Girl Scouts of America make. It is unbearable. These people should be sued. But anyway, so understand that everything changes, and even though you build a wheel, it's still going to change the frequencies and stuff and daily things. So um, study that in your head as you start picking out stones. So whether you have all the information at the moment, you got enough to start collecting rocks. Okay. You got enough information with this one chapter to really get a good start on it. Okay. And within these Last 2 hours and 10 minutes talking to the tree. I haven't talked about the trees yet. But they reference trees several times. Uh, you know, and one thing, for example, if you really like animals, you really like cats, or you really like dogs, or both of them, or it doesn't really matter, or you like all animals, okay, fine. So while you're picking out rocks and stuff, if you can use your animal totem, okay. Now somebody, I got Duggar. I can just, hey Doug, let's go look for rocks. Okay. So he goes out and he's panting and jumping and running and having a good time, and there's that energy, right? And then this this one cat followed me down to the woods tonight. Oh my God, it was like all over my feet. I could not move my foot without picking up the cat or kicking him in the butt. And I mean, it was like ridiculously like on my feet, right? And I was just a little annoyance. I mean, I was like, dude, man, whatever. He was upside down and sideways, even out at the edge of the swamp where it was wet. So we acknowledge these critters and we draw upon their energy or their life force or whatever. And so if you're choosing rocks, they're going to set them or something. And if a four-legged is nearby, now, if they're jumping in your lap and licking you all over, maybe not so much. But if they're in the area, you acknowledge the four-leggeds. So because the critters are part of Mother Earth, et cetera, and you got rocks, which are part of Mother Earth and their connection, and you light a candle. So now you have drawn on these different elements and animal energies, right? To help you find the stones, to help you set them, to, you know, and it helps to open up your third eye. It helps to open up your spirit consciousness. It helps all over the place. So the whole thing in setting up the medicine wheel is a spiritual journey in and of itself, in and unto itself. Okay. So as you learn to set the stones, as you learn to, your intention is number two stone is the, grandfather moon, and this stone is this one, and this stone is this one. So you hold it in your hand, you meditate on just the picture of that before you set it in the ground or wherever it's going. So your energy, your life force, your commitment, your translation from the universe at the moment is all part of this. And every time you enter the medicine wheel circle, you will bring that energy back to it. It will recognize you. Okay. So as it recognizes you, and if you use the wheel properly, then every time you go in, you're going to bring a little bit more energy, right? Hopefully positive, right? And every time you come and meditate, you're going to increase your meditation. You're going to increase the energy and the power within the wheel. Okay. So your intentions really get to Mother Earth, and they really get to going with the universe to help harmonize. How about that? So how we doing? Hey, Michelle. Greetings and blessings right back at you, girl. I love your little pictures. I do. I do. I just want to grab your cheeks and go like this and give you a big old hug. I'm sorry. But that wasn't meant to be rude. But anyway, um, I just embarrassed myself. I'm intent on getting this done. Okay. You know, for me, the hardest part of that was picking out rocks. I mean, really? Because I'm such a nut job when it comes to rocks and stones and things. And it's like, I didn't know. Well, what about this one? Well, I don't know. Hey, oh, let's all say hi to Bob out there. because the screen's dancing, and even with my good internet, it says I got issues. Um, but anyway, and I swear I'm not going to do an all night longer with this. I'm going to keep it short, but there's a lot of information in this video. If any of you all are interested, whether you have the book or not, to start setting something up. I got you, Barry. But so not necessarily in retrospect, but um, for me now having it down here in the swamp and the bushes and stuff has really been a major issue in that I have not been able to take care of the place to be able to use the wheel when there are bushes growing up between the rocks and stuff. I mean, circle because I had the room, right? Well, it's also harder to take care of. So I would say the one that I saw up at the Southern Cherokee tribe um, was probably at least 15 feet in diameter, if not 20. So about 10 feet to the center, radius. And it's like, but 20 feet, that's a pretty good size circle. And not everybody's got that much space. So you just scale it down a little bit. So where I got some really big boulders from North Georgia and Tennessee and Carolinas, and in my travels over the years, I got a few from Arkansas I brought back. So I really wanted a large rock, not just, not just a rock, provide. Ed, Barry, the dance is not necessarily a dance. The dance is the intricacies of working with the medicine wheel. It's the dance of life, not necessarily doing the polka, okay, as far as a dance is concerned. So, as long as you understand that, you could dance within the medicine wheel. But the book of Dancing with the Wheel is not about dancing, it's how you work with the wheel as the dance of life, just so you understand. Yeah, the only thing I have issues with the drum circle thing here. Um, Now, other people can join in, but for me, of course, I'm not hearing you guys, is that there's a lag. I will say something and y'all make a comment and it shows up in the chat, 2 minutes later. Or that lag when, you hear yourself, the reverb, there's that lag. And, in radio, by the time you would listen to it, but you had to monitor whether or not you were coming over the air. And there was all that about a 30-second lag from the time you spoke it in your headphones to the time it got up the tower, out to the signal, and back to a radio device, which we all carried it. And that was how we knew if the station somehow, if the transmitter went off the air. We were monitoring the inside of the station and the control room, but also monitoring the signal from a normal radio. And there was lag there, and so there's internet lag. So, um, oh, and Barry, since you brought it up, um, I wanted I'm going to close this session. I got my drum behind the seat, so y'all hang on a minute. I want to do a slight demonstration with a drum. Not sure. And maybe, Barry, you can at least pat on your leg or tap on your chair or something if you don't have your drum. But since I've done this dancing with the wheel, I kind of find it only appropriate to maybe do a simple drum just to say thank you. Whoa, I kicked that book. I did not mean to do that. Oh, well, hang on. Ooh, it's nice and tight. That's what she said. Sorry there, I had to. So, with the drum, now Barry was telling me he was having trouble keeping cadence. Was my take on that. I'm just dropping all kinds of stuff. I got piles all around me. I'm surrounded by crap. But there are some folks, and I don't know if one of them, Barry, but for some folks, keeping tempo is like really difficult. So if you got a cell phone or whatever, you can get probably a metronome app. Okay, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, and you can set it at different speeds, right? And you keep up with it. So what we did when I was first learning to drum was you sat with somebody that had a drum and you listened and you copied them, right? And you stuck with it. And it got to be boring, but the thing is that you had to hear the tempo. You have to hear it. And if you can't hear it in your head, then you want to go off on. But now there are some drums that will start off like, well, it's sort of a 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, dum, 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 dum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, dum, dum. And then sometimes it goes. So there are different tempos within certain drums. But so if you're drumming though, and you're trying to keep a cadence, then if you 1, 2, 3, 4, and you keep it up, don't speed your mouth up, and connect your brain with your dead gum hand and you're drumming. Because if you can't hear the drum, it's not like you got to be perfect. That's not the point. But to hear it correctly and to follow it. So if you're going too fast and it's erratic and stuff like that, you may, somewhere in there, you need to take a couple of deep breaths and hear what Mother Earth is doing. Now, that's to get like your basic drum. He was, he was, he was, he was. Hey, he was, hey, now it's just one, okay? So there. Hey, hey, so it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, like 3 times. So and then the pause, and then there are the pause, 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 dum 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 dum, and then there is like a longer pause, and you see me hit the drum, and I pull my stick back, my beater, and I'm beating the drum, y'all. So hit, and it's the position. So you bring your stick back over here, So you can't go back and hit it again, right? So it's the position of the drummer back. So it's the travel that creates the tempo. All right. But it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Say one, and I can't hit it again because my stick's up here. But if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, you see. So sometimes the simple thing to do is to learn the action with it to be able to not hit it like that. Okay. Now there are times when you need to hit it like that. So, but anyway, that's just a little, you know, thank you all. I love you. It's been 2 hours and 26 minutes. And it had been lovely to be here with you all this morning. I hope for those of you who have stuck around or have made it to the end that this video was of some help for you in understanding about the medicine wheel. This is part one, and there's going to be several more parts. So I love you all, and not every part am I going to go over the same stuff every time. So I'm going to assume y'all learned something from this video. I will re-emphasize the importance of selecting the stones and your intent in setting them, but hopefully as you do it and as you set them, as you find them, it will really get how important it is. You have to let your spirit talk for you and choose those things. And you got to use your common sense and go, well, I can't pick up a 2-ton freaking rock. I guess I can't use that one. Okay. We have to be practical. Choose your space wisely. If you have to do it inside or something, put it on the board. Use some wax or something to attach the stones that you find. And if you were doing it outside with a 15 or 20-foot circle, and you could have a nice size rock, that would be cool. But if you can't, then when you pick the stones, pebbles, or whatever to represent what you would do on a large scale. So your intent is for this little tiny pebble to represent this 40-ton boulder. Okay. So it's okay to use smaller stuff if that's what you need to do. But with that, though, think big. You know, this is a large stone. It represents the creator. It's the center of my circle. And, and it might be a pebble this big around, So it's okay because your intent is there. But where you place it, north and south alignment, that needs to be consistent. If it's got to be in a house, in a room, or something like that, it's got to be in the same place. Otherwise, its connection with the earth isn't connected in the same place every time. It jumps around. And that's okay. But just put it, if you got to put it under your bed, because nobody will get there with something, and you got to drag it out from under the bed, which is only a couple feet. So, I'm just saying, you can work your way around it. So if you think that the issue is insurmountable, you can't do this, well, you gave up way too soon. Because if you learn to open up your third eye and can visualize it, then if you sit in the same place every time you visualize it, then your connection to the same place with Mother Earth is there. If you move over there and you move over there, and well, I'm going to go over here. Now, if I was in the mountains and doing some meditating and camping, I would visualize the medicine wheel. But it's down here and I'm up there. But the visualization of it If I picked a really cool spot to sit and meditate, which I have over the years, and have done simple, ceremonies, um, is that at that time and place, you have created that energy vortex, even though it's in your mind, but you're sitting in a spot on the earth that seems to be or feels to be, have a high energy, sitting over there isn't quite as good as like sitting right here, right? And that means that you're feeling the energy of the earth. And so you're going to use the power of your mind. And whether or not you have a physical medicine wheel or not, you have pictured this because you've made one, drawn it on a piece of paper so that you can visualize it and see it clearly. I'm at this rock on the northern position where I'm sitting here on Mother Earth and I'm sharing my vision of the medicine wheel. So, do you have to have one? Well, but if you could have a rock that you use consistently as the creator stone, and you kept that one stone, or maybe that one stone and four others representing the four, um, you know, cardinal points, then you have retained that energy no matter where you go. Okay. So it's sort of like a portable, device, if you will. You might not be able to set out, uh, you know, what would be 9, 10, 12 stones, but you might be able to set out five. So instead of doing the one and the 8 stones around the circle and then the four cardinal points, like what as the book, so you cheat a little bit. And you've got one center stone, crater, and you know in your mind that this is the center, and you know that there are 8 other stones in your brain, but you couldn't bring them along, but they're in your heart and in your mind. And you may have held them before because you left them at the house, right? But that the four cardinal points you've got, so you can have 5 stones to represent the 36. You see, so and still get away with it if you know what I mean, because you're thinking of the circle, even though there's only four outside stones. You're thinking of the center stone, which is only one, the creator stone. But with that creator stone and the cardinal points and everything, you got a lot of stuff covered, especially if you're using your intuition and your own, creative thought process to be able to see these. So you can take it someplace else and still be effective. Now, is it as effective as, rocks on the ground that never move? No. Okay, let's just be honest with that. But would it be effective? Yes. Could you create a vortex? Yes. Can you, with this? So if you can't do it where you'd like to, or at, you know, if you can't create a big one, at least be consistent where you sit when you meditate. Then that connects you to Mother Earth, and you have created that power spot. Okay. Uh, there are certain places when I could get to the river that were just more for sitting and meditating than other places. So when I'd go and meditate on the river, I would go to certain places to do it. Okay. Not that I couldn't sit anywhere and meditate, that's not it. But it always felt good in this one spot. And it felt good over here and over there too. But this spot, like for whatever it is, I really like to sit there. So I'd go and take a candle, or I'd go and take a little sage, and I'd sit there, smoke a bowl and a cigarette in that same spot every time I went down. Right. So that becomes a power spot, you see, just because of repetition. Right. And every time I always went, to have a good just sit and just not really, expect anything from the universe, but sit there on the river and just let it, let things jive along by themselves. And next thing you know, a deer comes by, an owl's hooting in a tree, other things happen. Now, that's me on the river in the backyard. So my point is that you never know what's going to happen, but you sit in the same power spot. It feels comfortable every time. It might be a place in the backyard. It could be your front porch. It's up to you where you feel comfortable with. And but my point is the repetition of it in the same place becomes a power spot. So expand on that, and we can be creating really, they don't have to be huge power vortexes, but these little mini spots of good intention, it's only the size of me in this chair. Okay. But my intention is the medicine wheel, and I'm focused and meditating on a position on the wheel, and the wheel is in my heart, the wheel is in my brain. I can visualize it in my, my third, 3D, and I can translate it and I can feel it because I have held the rock, you know what I mean? So as you learn to use it, as you learn to set it up in your mind, in your brain, in your spirit, in your soul, include it all as you're setting it up. So I hope this has been, informative. You take care too. I made one in a plant pot with river rock. Yeah, you could do that. Yep. Carry small stones in a medicine bag and use them. Yep. But to the point, Steve. So if you got one rock that is your that's your creator stone, okay? So that is like the number one stone. It's the center of the wheel, right? The center of the spokes. All things connect to it. So if you can't carry them all though, but you got one that I used to have when I worked all the time. There were certain days I would carry certain stones or crystals or whatever. I had medicine bag around my neck, and I had went through a period where I had this bell that I found, and everywhere I went, I tinkled, quite literally. Well, with the bell that is. And I got to be a joke, and people could hear me coming in the plant. Tinkle, tinkle, tinkle. It got to be funny. And I was embarrassed at first. And I said, what the hell? I'm a hey, okay, let's have fun with this, right? So I'd go around and ring a little bell and everybody to laugh, a little brass bell. I think upstairs somewhere. But anyway, but to the point of the small stones, yes. And and if you can't get them out, the fact that you got them in your pocket, and and as you know that the stones in your medicine bag represent the center and 8 and 4, or whatever that 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, right? So if you've got these 14 stones, which is in a little bag you carry around, you know what I mean? So but if you've got one with the center and the 4 cardinal points, that's only 5 stones. And it'll still get you by, is my point. And you can still carry it around with you. Yeah, yeah, I understand, Steve. I'm with you. But I used to carry them on a daily basis because I had an hour drive each way, twice a day. So there was 2 hours of my day was spent just riding and listening to the radio and stuff. There are times I just didn't, listen to anything, and many meditations and many things and conversations with a very wonderful female. I you know Lord have mercy, she was beautiful, and would ride with me in the truck and teach me things, and I'd look over there and nah, she really ain't here. But there would be this shining figure that I could see the outline of sitting in the chair and go, okie dokie. It was sort of like that spirit that used to, when I'd sat on the front porch and rocking in that house that burned down, the spirit, the ghost that saved us. I could look over there and go, nah, but I was like, I'm look it it if it would have been a movie and I was being, I'd be looking out the corner of my eye, listening to this spirit talk to me, this entity, and go, yeah, sure, I see you over there. And I'd be looking out the window going, holy crap, there's really something over there. Jesus. Yeah, smile, smile. Ah, you know, It was one of them things till I got used to it. So, but White Dove, she wished to be called White Dove, and she said she was the spirit of the Cherokee Nation. And when I asked about White Dove or something, that anybody had ever heard of a medicine woman or anything by the name, and they were all like, you wannabe, you're full of crap. And I was like, I gave up. But for me, and I can still hear her sometimes out in the background a white dove, but did she teach me a lot? Absolutely. And I had different rocks and crystals in my pocket at the time, when I'm walking through the plant or, I carried them with me. A medicine bag around my neck, which was my medicine bag. But then there were other rocks. Sometimes I had a crystal that had to go in the left pocket. It had the right pocket did not work. Not there were times I'd have to put a crystal in my top shirt pocket. And I would wear shirts with, two pockets sometimes. And sometimes the crystal or the rock had to go in the right pocket. Yeah, that's my right hand. And so I just kind of took it, day by day with certain rocks and things that uh oh God, they're all over the house and in the yard and places, all different kinds of. I found a whole nother box of little crystals and quartz crystal uh, clusters that I dug out of the North Georgia mountains. Well, not really mountains, but anyway, up around Athens, Georgia, up in there, um, headed toward the North Georgia mountains, foothills. Anyway, um, the idea though that they weren't touched by other human hands. They was only touched by me in the dirt because I dug them out. And so in that way, it is more special, simply because it hadn't been through the exchange of other people's energies. Not that it belongs to me, because no crystal really belongs to me, because they're here to help me and for me to help them, and the planet. But the idea that there's any particular rock that is like mine, nah, I can't possess them. But you can live with them and ask them and all that good stuff and be very helpful. But the same crystal every day may not be the right answer. If you open yourself up to other possibilities, which includes different stones, different positions on the medicine wheel, then you would understand that, ooh, I need this rock in my pocket today. And I'm going to carry it with me for a couple of days. Well, as you move out of the time zone, that rock in cooperation and coordinates with the medicine wheel, it may be time that I needed this rock for the last 2 or 3 weeks because I was in that time period, right, of the medicine wheel. So unknowingly, I'd go, well, thank you, rock. Back on the shelf you go. And I might not see it or touch it for another year, but it might be through that time zone, this particular rock, whether a mineral or whatever, which I got a bunch of stuff, right? But I can't find I think I gave my pyrite away. I had a big pyrite crystal and I can't find it. I think I gave it away. But anyway, um, but I got smoky quartz. Yeah, I found this bag over there with some crystals I got in it. And it's been missing in action. I'm like, where in the hell? Oh, I took them to Ohio with me. So for the last 5 months since I've been back, they were in a plastic bag and I put them somewhere. And I still don't know where that somewhere was, but I couldn't find it. Anyway, so can stones and crystals and running bear, little white dove, da da dum, da 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 dum. Do I have that one right? Which you can travel for a long. Yeah, absolutely. You can cleanse the stones before placing them. Absolutely. Yeah, and there are a lot of people who disagree with me. It's okay, but I would soak the stones, crystals or otherwise, in. sea salt. Okay. Just doesn't Himalayan, if you want to spend that kind of money on, okay, but just regular sea salt. Okay. And heavily dosed. And the salt acts like a sponge to the energies, and so whatever those nasties are that the crystal may have or rock may have accumulated, the salt will draw it into that. Okay. And I mean, even the two brothers, salt at the doorway, a circle of salt around whatever thing to keep the evil duties out, right? So but salt the between evil and the connection there over many years, is so sea salt, natural earth, rather than dug out processed, although sea salt's processed. But that um, the properties and slightly different minerals in the salt itself, um, like, lead and pollutants and oil spills and, whale poop and dolphin pee and, all those good things that make, sea salt so special. I'm sorry, I'm crazy. And it's been almost 3 hours now, and I had promised I was going to keep this to an hour and a half. Now it's 2.5 hours. Now it's almost three. So I truly do need to be quiet. And cinnamon helps keep evil away also. And if you can get black tourmaline, okay, and I've seen some things that were called black tourmaline, and I shake my head and I go, I don't think so. Because here's one thing that I learned about black tourmaline, and it's in the books, is how brittle it is and how hard it is to polish or turn into jewelry. Okay. And there are people with these polished stones and that are jewelry. And I'm going, if you read the books on that mineral, that's really hard to do that. So here's the black tourmaline that's all nice and shiny and polished. And I look at it and go, how did they do that? Every time I tried to polish it and do it and anything, it always wanted to fracture and split. And no, because it says in a book, in the mineral book, I got probably right over there that, black tourmaline is very difficult. All tourmalines are, trying to tumble them like other, it don't work the same, right? So, but anyway, oh, so these people have got these polished black tourmaline stones. And I just want to go, maybe, you know, okay, maybe, they have come up with something new, but okay, and that's possible. But, stones that are brittle and want to break and fracture, I don't care what kind of process you got, the stone still wants to, it's the stone, it's not the machine, right? That will, anyway, so, but black tourmaline is very effective. I've got pieces all around the house and the yard, but I dug it up personally out of the ground up, um, pretty close to where I dug out the crystals from out of North Georgia with the help of a friend of mine. He knew where these places were. But I mean, I carried two 5-gallon buckets filled full of rock, toted them about 4 miles, I got a I keep collecting crystals. I get so many dead gum crystals, but I've given a bunch away over the years. I had something the other day, Barry, that, and now that I think of it, I had it in my hand and I put it down somewhere. But it was a rock or a stone or something that I wanted to send to you. But anyway, all right, my dear friends, it's been 2 hours and 48 minutes. It's 3:10 a.m. and I'll stick around. We'll say a little prayer. Let me, and with a short drum out. Way on, way up, 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 hey 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 up. Hey, way up, way up, hey, hey, up, hey, up, hey, up, hey, up, hey, up. You see how when I do this, I pull the stick back and position it. It keeps me from wanting to go too fast. Anyway, hey, one, hey, one, hey, nah, hey, hey, one, hey, one, hey, one, hey, one, hey, hey, one, hey, one, hey, nah, hey, one, 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 hey, my dear friends. It has been an enjoyable evening. I had fun with Robert V and reading stories. And for those of you who come and listen, uh, he gets he has a ball with it, and so do I. And I'm so proud that he gets a ball out of it. I mean, I've been telling stories and being a storyteller for a long time, but to see his face light up when he wants to do it and hear his voice, yeah, and he really means it. And Robert, I love you if you get this far, and I really do mean it. And for for me as a shaman in training, the when you get to certain points, you realize that you have to share and teach and whatever it is with other folk, right? And the fact that we can do story time on Tuesdays when he's available and conditions and so forth, and that it inspires him and other people too, but that inspires him personally to want to do it again and to want to find more out about it himself. And that's just like it's one thing to tell the story, and then it's another when the story that you tell affects other people in whatever way it affects them. So as a shaman in training, I am noticing and seeing um, the overall long lasting effects of my being on the internet, just telling stories and talking about these things. And it's not a pat on the back for me because everybody who's listened, Robert and other people, I mean, Robert, we were talking about it after we signed off that, you know, or maybe we was talking about before we signed off, but how he had went to Brian's channel and heard me and did a call in. And next thing you know, then Brian passed away. And, but now he's got his own show and so forth. I mean, in the effects that did any of us think that, I would be doing this all these years in? Did, yeah, it's almost 3:20 here. So yeah, it's 3:14 here. There must not be much of a lag with you. Just sprinkle the chili powder and borax soap powder around behind step and whatever mice. The borax, yeah, I used to leave it out. I haven't recently. And chili powder? They like chili powder, Steve? So, but anyway, for each one of you, when you reach certain levels yourself, I'd be interested to see how this all works out in the long run. Like for me meeting Brian and him and I doing videos all the time and the connection that we had. And then we had connections with you and you all have had connections and Teresa and them started Andromeda. And I mean, the growth of the sharing between different platforms and peoples. Well, I never expected things like this to happen. I didn't plan it that way. I'm just going to get on here and yak away, right? But it's up to everybody else and your and their participation, right? And so I hadn't planned any of this, but I kind of think my Mother Mary spirit and also to White Dove, that everything they taught me, showed me, and have led me to has resulted in this moment in teaching and showing other people, because it's obviously up to you as to what you choose and how you react to it. But, Robert, if you've made it this far, I love you, my brother. And I know I'm using you as an example, but we have talked about this. And so our interaction between each other and the things that we have shared and we hope to continue to share, and more stories and more things and more information, chapter 2 part 2 on dancing with the wheel and the wheel itself, how important that information is to some people who may not have heard about it, may not have access to it. And not only am I reading the book, but I'm giving you my 45 plus years of experience and knowledge and learning and so forth in that, and how it relates to what these other people have written or customs. So not necessarily to be the know-it-all, but to be able to, like my discussion about the Indian tribes that were going to go to war at a powwow in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, where part of them wanted to come in from the north and part of them wanted to come in with the more traditional into the circle from the east. And it's like, just compromise, will you? But these folks are going to go to war about it because of their personal and their you know ancient traditions. Who's right and who's wrong? Neither and both, right? Neither are wrong and both are right. You follow your tradition and don't let it bother me. Well, if I watch you do a ceremony and I go, well, you're doing it wrong. Well, maybe not. You may be doing it the way you were taught. And when the medicine man, when I was going through my trials way back 10, 15 years ago, um, it was that he looked at me and he said, where did you learn that? And I said, well, I've read a lot of books and I've watched a lot of things. And then I listened to my spirit guide who said, here, do it like this, use this and do that. And, so one of the things that I learned was in some of these books and stuff, and even in Dancing with the Wheel, in the next chapter, is sort of a song that you can do to a chant, right? And so it's just, hey, ya, hey, wah, hey, right? And you go, well, what the hell does that mean? And what I learned was that the chant are just these simple words. It's what you're thinking at the time with these, what it sounds like just uh, nonsense words, is actually is what the thought of the drum of the people who are drumming at the time. Okay. Now, if this is supposed to be a ghost dance, when the people will say these chants and think about what the ghost dance means. So that energy, not the words, it's the chant, but it's not, it doesn't rhyme in their words and stuff. No, now there are some songs like that. It's about time, ain't it? But it's so the chant is one thing along with the drum. It's not necessarily the words, but it's your thoughts behind the chant. So, um, there are times when it's very simple in my brain. I'm hearing, I want peace upon the earth. Dun, 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 da, 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 dun, the Jeopardy song. Hey, Alex, what's the, Alex, what's the answer to 420, my friends? It's 3 o'clock on the dot. Well, 3 hours, I'm sorry. Cheers, everybody. Ooh, tangy, yummy, yum, yum. I know that there are some folks who are really into being the shaman, okay? And then there are folks who are really into, I don't mean this wrongly. If you got a place to go build a medicine wheel versus to think about it or to really want one, there's nothing wrong with that. But to be able to do it, you've reached a slightly different level than other folks who cannot, for whatever reason, be able to produce it, right? It's no fault of theirs, but to the shaman folks who have went that extra distance, they've got the space, whatever, you know what I mean? So it's okay for those who can't, but we can tie into the universal drum and to those folks who do have a wheel. So when you connect your little mind one, you can like, okay, to anybody who's using a medicine wheel, I wish to tie into yours. And here's my little medicine wheel and I'm facing east when I do meditation. And I'm sitting in the same relative spot every day or every time I do this. So a certain protocol, right? And so early on in it, it said, if you follow the simple ceremonies, then you should have, you know, um, achieved something, right? Also, they've got so many tips and stuff for me to tell you all that related to this. Also, the medicine wheel will not make you spiritual. Okay, it for the medicine wheel can heal you and this and that. Well, if you got a broke bone, it's going to have to heal itself. I mean, this ain't a Star Wars, Star Trek kind of thing where Doc's going to just, hey, Bones, just fix me up here. But as depending on folks, for me, just thinking about the wheel and having certain stone rocks out in the woods that I would go sit at certain places within that circle, right? And at a fire pit right in the middle. Well, a couple of stones and build a fire there. So that was my God stone, if you will. Um, but by having, even though I couldn't build a fire down there at the moment, it's too wet, etc. But I can remember the times that I did have fires down there. And so it's right behind the house. And because me and Duggar were down there just, yeah, well, today actually. Um, and so the idea that, well, maybe, hmm. So, but to close your eyes when you're meditating and to be able to visualize something that has occurred. So maybe you've only done one fire at one time and set the stones out. It may be because you're renting, you had to pick them up because the neighbor had to mow, but you still can feel, smell, taste when you did set them up and when you did have as much of the medicine wheel for yourself. So you draw upon that one time and draw upon the connection, whatever it was that you felt at the time. Now, some people will have these profound visions of stuff, and sometimes I have heard some people come up with some, oh, God talked to me, and it was this, that, and the other thing, and yada yada yada, and you just go, I think they missed either they missed their meds today or they've taken too much because they will come up with some of the god awfulest. I'm sorry. When you listen, you have to be kind and nice, but these are words of an honest to God crazy person. I mean, because it doesn't make any sense. And God said that blah 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 blah. Blah. What? That whales were going to learn how to walk on land again, and that what? I mean, it just so you got to be kind. Well, the spirit showed me this. Well, maybe later on they have a tendency to go, well, the whale represented this. It wasn't actually going to walk on the land, but whatever that feeling was, you were insistent that whales were going to learn how to walk again. And they were going to, hello, my baby, hello, my honey, hello, my ragtime gal, going to do the little dance on stage, you know, putting on the Riz. Anyway, where you go to, I'm thinking of Peter Boyle and what you call it in Young Frankenstein when they did Putting on the Ritz. That that is still one of the funniest, skits I've seen. Vaudeville, oh my God. And of course, Mel Brooks. A Jew can't make a joke, right? Where you go to, putting on the Ritz, looking like $1 million trooper, super duper. I'm sorry, it's dancing in my head. I want to teleport or bilocate. Yes. Oh, by the way, today is officially February the 2nd. Now, just going to say to them, ET folk out there who promised, on the 1st of February, going to be a flash of light. We're all going to feel different. Anybody see a flash of light? Anybody feel any like more different? I mean, just asking. It seemed like the news was the news today, but coleslaw. I'm sorry, it was like Captain Coleslaw from the Russian, Federation of Ukrainian stupid people. Putin, he is a friend of mine, personal friend. Oh, the old Daniel Putin. Ah, yes, good man. He's a Libra, born in October, something, anyway. Or it could be my colon is turned to slaw. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of myself, you know. Sometimes, them old internalies, never mind. Um, Old age is just literally a pain in my butt and rectum and prostate and hemorrhoidal tissues that are irritated and Lord have mercy. you know now, did y'all know that I'm on the patch? Yeah, I'm on the hemorrhoidal patch. Yeah, I'm sitting on the donut right this minute. I would rather eat the donuts, but not this one because it has a tendency to have that budwiferous odor to it, that you can tell it's like a butt has been sitting upon it. And I'm sorry. No, I'm not. Well, maybe a little bit. I'm just getting sillier. It's been a long day for me, which is all right. Oh wait, I still can't figure out what's wrong with my truck. The battery's down, or the starter won't. I mean, it like that's it, and the battery's at like 13 and a half volts. Freshly charged, barely turns the engine over. But I think it might be a bad starter. So I get it running, but I bring it home. It gets cold for a couple of days. I put antifreeze in it and everything. And then the next day, nice and warm, go out there to crank it up. It has not started since. What the hell? Colossalius Maximus. He was the greatest gladiator of his time. He threw cabbage here and cabbage there. He beheaded many cabbage. He was the conquistador of cabbage. Oh, please stop. I'm not picking on you, I swear. But just the Cole S. Law, how you got it out there, is just messing with my brain. So I'm for some of you who were here for the joke night, I have been having the God is missing, okay, joke. And so I'm going to tell it before I get out of here. Love you too. Yeah. Did you ever notice how we all start out like SpongeBob? Sponge pants. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I had a very embarrassing moment yesterday. Down on the edge of the woods, it's getting dark, and I bought these little set of garden trimmers for roses. This, I mean, the little cutters, right? So, but when I go down in the woods and down along the trails, there are things that have grown in and stuff, and and it's hard to walk, and you can bump into things in your eyes, and so I got these little clippers. Now I got plenty of trimmers and things, but they're too bulky. So I saw these at Harbor Freight the other day. Oh, Harbor Freight is a wonderful place, and you should. Anyway, so but they're nice, right? And so I'm like trimming all these things so I can go down the trail easier, which is what I used to do all the time, right? So Duggar, me, we're walking down it, right, and I just absolutely forgot what I was talking about. I went down to the edge of the woods and come back, but uh, 3:34. This video is 3 hours and 13 minutes. I was wondering if it would catch up to the time. You too, Michelle, honest. But to the part of the shaman and training thing, so for me, I knew at the age of 3 and 4 and 5 that I was going to be a hermit, live in the woods. So there were things that I've understood and have established that that's been my life. And next, when we're in February now, so next March, I think it is, will be 40 years I've been here on this property, which is like to me, just at 69 and a half and 40 years here on the property is like those are like really I'm like, wow, I made it all this time in here. And I mean, it's like, huh? So over the years, it's been like, oh, I've been here 20 years. Well, 20 years, yeah, but 40 is like a milestone of some sorts. Not that it's really important, but like 40 years, like that's almost a half a century I've lived here. I've watched a forest grow from a wheat field in mud to a forest, right outside my door. So, witnessing these things and just like in my older age, I've just like dawned on me, oh my God, I've been here. I've watched a forest grow. I've experienced, you know, holy crap, I'm a witness to it, you know? I didn't read it in the book. I literally have lived it, right? Now, most of the time it's not important to anybody but myself, but 3333. Yeah, it's 315 24 25 28. Well, now it's boy, that clicker is really going by on the second hand. But oh, I was going to tell a story, wasn't I? About, God's missing. Okay, I'll still close with that. So it's about this time a week or so ago when I was doing the joke show that, I was surely my intent was to, upset somebody and make fun of them. Uh, I don't think I did near enough, you know, Helen Keller jokes, or if I don't know if I even did a Jewish joke. So, yarmulke on that one. And, anyway, and if you're going to be a putz about it, never mind. So, anyway, so God is missing. So there are these two little boys, one about 8 and one about 10 years old, and they live in this small town, maybe 400 or 500 people, and they in mischief all the time, all the time. You understand? And so that 8-year old one and the 10-year old one, and they got caught doing something down on the street, and now everybody in town knew that these boys, if there was some mischief going on, not that they went to them right away and blamed it on them, but most of the time they done it, right? Get caught red-handed, So mama and daddy sat down and they brought him to the house and they sat him down. They said, we're going to do something with you boys. And then two was like, yeah, they didn't give us a little spank or whatever. We're going to go right back to being mischievous. And mama sat him down. She's after church one day. She said, now, boys, she goes, something's got to be done about this. And I have arranged for you to talk with our preacher. And he's agreed because he was in the army and he was a sergeant, and and God spoke to him on the battlefield, and he speaks with the power of the Lord, and he's going to talk to you boys about you being bad. Well, two boys looked at each other and like, yeah, okay, ma. So mama says, youngin, you're gonna go first, and then when you're through, you're gonna come back to the house and you're gonna tell your older brother, and he's gonna go in and he's gonna talk to the pastor. Well, two boys, they just being mischievous and kind of making faces, ha ha ha, until it come the next day. So the young boy, he went down in and to the church, and and knocked on the church door, and the church door opened up, and it's a big, great big giant of a man to this 8-year-old. I mean, he was still 6'6" and said 245, you know, and looked down at the little boy and said, yes. And the boy said, Mama sent me down here. He said, come in, boy. And he closed them door to the church and brought the little youngin in there and sat him down up there. And he looked at him in the eye and he said, son, heard you been being in trouble. And he was like, well, kind of shucking his feet a little bit. And then there was this, looked him in the eye. Then he'd back up a little bit and looked him in the eye. And the little boy started to be intimidated. Here was this great big giant man. Here was this little old 8-year-old boy sitting in his chair in the church, being intimidated. And he looked over at him and he squinted his eye and he said, son, do you know where God is? And the little boy looked around the church and kind of gave this look. He said, son, do you know where God is? Now they're sitting in the church and he don't know what's going on. So then the preacher just gets real quiet for a moment. And then with a loud booming voice says, son, do you know where God is? And the little boy about peed his pants, jumped up, got out of the pew, went through the door, and ran all the way to the house and was hiding under the bed. When his big brother came into the room and he said, "What's wrong with you? How come you hiding under the bed?" He said, "Well, I done went to the preacher and he said God's missing and he thinks we done it." Yep. Yeah, Michelle, absolutely. Whoever it might be. So if you think that God's missing, who are they gonna blame it on? But I told that joke the other day, and I giggled and laughed because I still can see this little boy sitting there with his preacher looking at him, and I can see it in my head. And every time it crosses my little old head, I see this little skit in my head, and it makes me just laugh. And you know, um, and I told this joke yesterday to my friends who were here, and I, I, I was laughing so hard listening to them laugh, okay? Because the punchline is like, "What's going on?" And it's like, "God's missing it," and they think we done it. And these two folk just busted out, and they were laughing so hard. I think it's a cute joke anyway. But listening to them laughing and having a good time, I was like, man, that just it's good to make somebody laugh and with a clean joke. But anyway, but anyway, after 3 hours and 22 minutes at 3:42 in the AM time, I am going to call it quits. I get some sleep, and I'm not sure if I finished supper. If you want to know the truth, I got out with Robert earlier and reading stories and everything, and now it's 3 in the morning, almost 4 in the morning. So, and this was going to be a short video, y'all. Uh, Michelle, I'm going to be nosy for a moment. Is it physical, mental, spiritual? Any way we can you know, make it just a little more focused without giving away anything personal? You know what I mean? If somebody's got a hurt back, physical. If they're, having whatever issues, then, just say spiritual or, whatever, but without revealing, because then we can concentrate a little bit, focus a little more clearly, you know, without giving anything away. Okay. So, but to the person in the soul tribe who needs the extra energy, we ask the guardian angels around to, take some of our energy and grab some out of the universe and help them with it, which leads me to my wrap up, in that each and every day I continue to pray that each and every one of you will continue to learn to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. And from what Robert and I did tonight on his show, and what was in the readings earlier tonight about the our connection with the universe, and that all of our relations mean plants and animals and bugs and minerals and the universe. It's our relations. It's our relationship to all of these things in the universe. So each and every day when Duggar and I go outside and feed the cats and play kickball, we continue to pray that each and every one of you, all of your friends, your relatives, and all of your relations will continue to learn to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. And I think the dancing with the wheel, whether you build one, can think about it, use another, if you know somebody that's got one or replace or something, but that we can all at least imagine somewhere that there's the, see, if I created a wheel here on the property and I said, okay, y'all focus, and you can even kind of pinpoint it on Google Earth in relationship to my property on the, from the sky. So here it is. If you need to focus on a medicine wheel, I got one in the yard. You can project this one where you can look at it from a, well, Google Earth doesn't have anything updated recently because I've looked and my yard hadn't looked like that in years. So I know that the pictures of my place are much outdated. So I could build a medicine wheel, but you might not see it for 10 years. But I could give you a basic location and say it's right about there. So imagine this there, and that, that's how it'll go. So, but in the long run, which I think is important to all of us and all of thee, that we continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. And, just the thought of us with this, not necessarily imaginary wheel, but this picture of a medicine wheel in our minds. So, does it have to physically be anywhere? If we all agree that this is the center and there's 8 stones and that there's 4 and then there's 12 and then there's 36, then we have that understanding. So it exists in the universe because we're thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? So the more we think about it, the more we do these chapters, the more we will be able to create this 3D image in out of nothing as just a picture, but then it'll still be a medicine wheel. So Barry, I hope this does some good. Coleslaw, if you're still there, Michelle, much love, and y'all have a good day. I know some of you are going to be froze to death soon, and my prayers to all y'all. Okay, so be safe. Stay warm. Buy a little extra food if you can. Don't worry about all the special food. Get you some canned food that you actually like, and and help keep yourself survivaled up. So, and don't eat no yellow snow. Okay, we'll do chapter 2 soon. All right, give everybody a couple of days to mull this one over, and we'll do chapter soon. We'll do chapter 2 soon. Okay. So blessings, everybody, and we'll talk to you at as soon as possible. Okay. I still haven't done the card reading, but blame it on Barry. He insisted we do this. So here we are. Uh, I'm starting fire. Yeah, okay. I love you, brother. And I want to just talk to you about something maybe tomorrow, okay? So yeah, it's I'd talk to you now and call you on the phone, but I'm tired. So, but I'll talk to you tomorrow for a few minutes, okay? All right, my friends, be sweet. Michelle, stay safe. Coleslaw, everybody, and all y'all sleeping in the background. We love you. And, cheers. Be safe, okay? Till next time, adios. TTFN from South Georgia. Bye.